Welcome, everyone, to At the Bar with Podcast. I'm Brett, your host. And as always, right next to me is Stacy. And on the back screen here, as always, streaming in from Sacramento, California, Patrick. And we have a very special guest today. Very special, kind of a rock star, Mr. Lance King. Lance, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So being that we're a bar, let's kick it off with a drink. Now, Lance is a non-drinker, so we're going to be doing some non-alcoholic Guinness, and I'm going to be partaking in the same thing.
Since he's got to work very, very early in the morning. This is a different podcast because it's on a Monday, but that doesn't affect Patrick back there.
How early is early?
Yeah.
4 a.m.
Okay, that's early. That's early.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm a couple hours behind you, so. But I usually don't tip any back on a Monday, but what the hell? Life is short.
I'm a school teacher on summertime vacation, so it's Saturday to me.
Yeah.
Or
There
Friday,
you go.
whatever I want it to be.
You're retired for the summer.
Yep, I'm retired for the summer.
Nice.
You lucky.
It's kind of nice, yeah.
I think we've had more non-drinkers on the show as a guest than drinkers to this point.
Yeah, well, it's kind of getting there, but
And it's okay.
sure.
It's like we're just being social at a bar. You don't have to,
Yeah.
get drunk. It's not.
and I'm kind of always kind of curious about this non-alcoholic Guinness. Compare the taste.
Well, it's weird because it tastes exactly like regular Guinness. So if somebody were to slip me a non-alcoholic Guinness, I would not know the
Oh,
difference.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It tastes.
It's quite low content too. It's quite
Yeah.
low. It's like 4%. Actually.
No, it's 0.
People think
That's
it's
pretty
heavy,
good.
but it's
Yeah.
no.
this
But
one
like
here-
a regular Guinness is only 4.
Right, 4% alcohol. Yeah.
Are you
It's really?
Yeah.
were you a regular beer drinker or hard alcohol drinker or mixed drink drinker?
I kind of did a little bit of everything very early on.
That's why you don't do it anymore. We kind of have
I mean, it was readily available.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure it was.
My parents' house, my uncle's house, and
this is back
growing up in the 70s. It was everywhere.
A lot of
right?
people don't understand that there was a time in Minnesota when we could drink at 18 and 19 years old. So
And I had a fake ID.
And you had a
so I
fake
was
ID.
Buying it in Wisconsin at 16.
well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it looked good. It looked like an original license.
And this was back in, everyone smoked cigarettes. If you were a kid at the bar,
I did that too.
parents would let
Yeah.
you lick the foam off the top of that beer. You'd get the head.
Yeah.
Did that, had weed all the time.
Yep.
Well, now that it's legal, I mean,
Yeah.
weed is no fun. anyway.
Yeah.
A lot
It's
of
like, who
people.
wants to do
I-
that?
It's-
I couldn't remember lyrics anyway, so I had to stop that pretty early.
So most of you guys probably, if you know Lance King, he does have a wiki page that not too many of our guests have, but which is pretty awesome. And it says you're 62, and I don't think people can appreciate how good you look for your age.
Oh, thank
You
you.
look awesome. Very tall. Brett's getting the tall guys in here now. He's and
With hair.
again with hair. So that's what he's
Crazy.
is. Yeah.
My dad was bald. My mom's dad was bald, and I don't know.
And not
I
just
got lucky.
Not just hair. He's got a lot of hair. It goes all the way down his back. So, yeah, making me jealous again. That's what he's doing. That's what Brett's doing. He's
Yeah.
let's get all these guys on with lots of hair.
Yeah, he's still rocking the gut. I had my guns out the other night on the podcast. But, you're still rocking that fit body over there.
It's
Which-
just not boozing. It's not boozing.
I mean, that's kind of what the guest that we had on the other day, Dave Gorman. I mean, he lost 60 pounds
Yeah.
by not drinking. He just one of those days where it's like, I got to quit. My health is getting kind of hairy here. So he quit drinking and dropped the weight like that.
There's a sandwich in every beer.
Exactly.
Sandwich in every beer.
And there's a sandwich in every sandwich.
And I want to.
And then it's those late night decisions that you want to go get a sandwich and a pizza and a Taco Bell.
Pizza Luce after the bars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I want to do a little shout out to Tony Kamana since he gave me this nice bottle of wine here. The last time he was on, I didn't get to drink it yet, so now I'm tapping into it. It's pretty good. It's a Minnesota.
Tony's one of the drummers for GB Layton.
Oh,
He's
okay.
their
Yeah,
percussion drummer. So
You mean Gene didn't get into it yet?
Yeah.
no, it's still not correct. Parlay Lake Winery
So,
in Minnesota red wine. So
speaking of being fit, now you're a martial artist. too. So,
I trained a long time for it.
How did you get into martial arts? How long ago?
So the story is I always wanted to be into martial arts, and I took judo as a teenager, and I was kind of enjoyed it, but I didn't take it for very long. And that wasn't really the art that I was attracted to. And Bruce Lee was super cool, and I always watched Bruce Lee and Jet Li, and well, I guess he came along later, and all of the cheesy Chinese martial arts movies that
Kung Fu Theater.
Yeah, Kung Fu
night,
Theater is hilarious. So turns out the video store that was near my home that I bought in 91, it was like literally a block away, rental videos and stuff, and it had a poster in the window for Greg Nelson's Minnesota
Martial Arts Academy.
Arts Academy,
Sure.
and it became the academy after that. But so I joined in I think 92, and I did that for about 5 years.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, I did that for about 3 years, and then my son came along, and and life changed dramatically. I didn't get any sleep for a while because he didn't sleep.
You were grappling other things.
I was grappling other things, but when he was old enough, I think he was 4.5, we went back, and they had a kids program all of a sudden, and we started going in, I think it was probably 98 or 99. Is that right?
That's when Greg just left the collie group.
Right.
Around, that early time. Because I started in 88, and I remember him there, and he left to open up his school. And it was about 3 or 4 years that I was in that he moved, but he's a fantastic martial artist.
He is. He's a tenacious little dude.
And then I'm sure you know Rick Fay, and then obviously
I've met Rick. I've taken some classes over there, like when Arjun Chai comes in.
Oh, sure.
Or
you like the Thai boxing?
Oh, that was what I studied the most in.
Okay.
And then let's see, Dan Inosanto.
Yep.
When he did an in-service over there,
Sure.
or whatever you want to call it, classes, and I was just mind-boggled by it. He doesn't stop. He just keeps showing you stuff.
No.
And you're like, my processor can't keep up. Slow down. You know?
Yeah. That's
my God.
It's so funny when Rick buys him coffee, and he's like, God, I bought him a cup of coffee, and he's so fast, and he was supposed to be coming here the end of the month here. He was supposed to be here this last weekend, I think, but he had to cancel at the last minute, some family stuff going on. So hopefully he'll be back.
Yeah, he's fun.
Oh, he's great. Yeah, he is. So fantastic. He's 89 now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
And he's still spry.
Yeah,
that's the crazy thing.
Yes,
he's still spry.
He'd still kick your butt.
It's like I'm like half his age, and I'm half as spry.
Yeah,
just I don't know what his wife makes him for his dinner, but man, I need
his
to get on
memory
that menu.
Yeah, his memory is a trap too. I mean, it's great how much he remembers.
He'll tell stories.
Yeah,
it's like wow. Crazy.
So a lot of people don't know that Dan, every weekend of the year, he would travel to a different place in the world for seminars.
Wow.
Yep. So
he's got a lot of stories.
Yeah, he's got a lot of stories and a lot of frequent flyer miles. I'm pretty sure. So you started with that, but going back to your music career, you started. How old were you when you started music?
Well, I guess it depends on what you consider music. I started singing at a very early age to the radio, constantly couldn't shut me up. Any music could come on, I'd be singing with it. And a friend of mine, I guess in 10th grade, said, hey, want to sing for my band? Because I'm always singing in the car with him, and he was a bass player, and he said, hey, come sing for my band. So I'm like, okay. I got in there, and they wanted to play a bunch of Kiss covers, and I was listening to literally soft rock from the only station in Winona that I could get, which was KGNU, KG something, but they just called it KG. I think it was KAGE, and so they called it KG. And so
soft rock.
It was soft rock, like Leo Sayer and Soft Cell, and, all this Fleetwood Mac, and the first album I got was Fleetwood Mac Rumors, and first 45 I had, I think, was Steppenwolf, Born to Be Wild or something. But before that, I'd grown up in Canada in the woods. And the only thing I had for music was a little AM, FM radio, and I'd get like Casey Kasem's top.
Oh, did you really?
Right.
Casey Kasem.
And that was like it. That was like all I could get. Or sometimes you'd pick up weird stuff off the ionosphere from freaking China or something. You didn't understand.
You tried to dial it in.
Yeah,
you're just sitting there going,
what's that?
I remember those days.
So I just started singing, and I was. Around that time, though, I was album based, right? So, Rush 2112, Kansas Left Overture, Boston More Than a Feeling, Journey. Don't look. No, I was thinking Boston. Don't Look Back. Journey. I'd gotten the first two albums of Journey. It was just prog stuff with Greg Raleigh singing it.
Right.
It was crazy cool, and then they developed into more of a commercial band, but it was very proggy. And I was into the more proggy rock stuff and the lighter end stuff. And then they're like, Kiss. What the heck's Kiss? What the hell's Kiss? Okay. So I'm trying to sing Kiss. And I have a range of about, an octave and a half, right? At this point. Because I'm just singing everything, in my range, an octave lower or whatever, along with everything. And
you're like, I can sing Beth.
Right. So we were doing like Strutter and Cold Gin, stuff
the
like
Gene
this.
Simmons songs.
Yeah, right. Like, our set was literally was about maybe 15 songs.
Yep.
And we did "Lady" by Styx and a few other things.
What's your favorite Kiss song?
Being that I'm not a Kiss fan. I don't know. I would say probably Beth.
Yeah. Beth, yeah. Good
Beth
song.
was one of those. It was just one of those radio rock songs, or I was born for loving you.
They're disco.
Yeah. The one that's so anti-Kiss ever, right?
Kiss Dynasty.
Now, being a bartender, my favorite Kiss song was Cold Gin.
Cold Gin.
Pulled out the Kiss album. I'm seeing all the, the theatric stuff. I'm like, oh my God, these guys are awesome. Played me Cold Gin, and I was like, that was it. I was a Kiss fan right after that.
Yep.
I was Detroit Rock City. That was one of my favorites.
And you grew your hair out and you painted it black.
I'm going with God of Thunder, especially live. That's the shit right there.
Yeah.
I'm sure if I would have seen them live, I would have been a total fan, right? Because
just a great show.
It was about the show.
Yep. I can tell you a story about that.
I'd gone to I got front row for Kiss once, and it was totally a surprise. So,
nice.
My ex-wife, we moved out here for her job, and like about, I think, first 6 months of her job, somewhere in there, her station hosted a charity event, and the act to play after this charity event was Kiss. So they had this dinner, and they had the baseball field here. They set up the stage. They sold tickets to the GA, which was up in the up in the seats for the baseball stadium. But then we had these huge tables with this wait service, and it was a classy meal. And then they started pulling the tables away, and we were like in this little pit, and that was it. Like, we were front row, and I'm like looking at my wife at the time. I'm like, what the hell's going on? She's like, yeah, this is where we're gonna watch the show. And I'm like, fuck, shit, man. So I think I like high-fived Eric Carr or Paul or somebody. I don't know who was playing guitar and all that right then, but I think it wasn't Eric Carr. It was I'm trying to think of the other guy. Bruce Cusick, was that his name?
Kulick.
No, not Bruce Cusick. Bruce.
Kulick.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so it was like I got pics from the show because they were just chucking them, but like everyone in the back was pissed because we had all this extra space in front of the stage, and it was just for us like charity people. And then this was also the time when their show on TV, the Gene Simmons show, was popular. So the kids and his wife showed up and was like walking through the crowds, taking selfies and all of that. I got like a picture from like 10 feet away. Like I just snapped it. I didn't want to get in the crowd, but yeah, that was my.
How long did your ears
I loved
ring?
Kiss and.
How long did your ears ring?
Yeah, right.
You know what? It was a little toned because they were doing like a charity show. They toned it down a lot. There was less pyro than I've ever seen at a Kiss show. It was softer, volume wise, and the song selection was a little briefer than most of a real concert tour for Kiss. So.
And you were
But
up front,
I'd
and you
seen
were
him, like-
center stage. Right? The
Yeah,
speakers
I'm
were
careless.
over here.
Yeah, they could have spit on me and I would have been happy about it. So
I'm not
That's how
washing
close
this
I was.
shirt off for the rest of my life.
My
Yeah,
very
yeah.
first concert, I was in 10th grade, and I'm like, I gotta go. And I asked my neighbor, and my dad drove us all the way down to the Met Center. I had no idea what we're doing. We walked up to the thing. There's nobody outside because everybody's already inside. It was late. And the old lady goes, "You look like two nice young boys." Gives us our tickets. Main floor, 7th row.
Wow.
Right in front. I'm like, wow, these are really good tickets.
If
Never
that-
been to the Met Center.
If that could only happen when you fly, when you get on a flight.
On a
Right.
flight, yeah.
You look like a nice young man. Here's first class.
yeah.
Man, my ears
When I was-
rang for a week, boy. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was a kid, me and my buddy John, we'd, stand up on the bed like it was a stage with tennis rackets and we would do the Kiss, like we were doing a Kiss concert. And then every Halloween we had paint our face like Kiss.
Did you paint your face?
Nope.
Nope, never
I
did.
painted my face around Halloween every time.
Mhm.
Kip?
I was either a vampire, which is close,
Yeah, that's close.
or a pirate.
Oh, okay. So you never
I like
did.
both.
You never did.
I never
Gene
did
Simmons?
Kiss,
Oh,
no.
you never did Kiss. Okay.
I did the Crow a few times.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So,
Oh,
Yeah,
pretty
no, I was gonna
close,
say you
pretty
can
close.
pull
you're-
off some of that scary
Yeah,
shit,
yeah.
the dark stuff.
So needless to say, you were more of a Bruce Lee fan than you were a Kiss fan.
I was definitely more of a Bruce Lee fan.
So you went to what high school did you go to?
I went to Winona High.
You went to Winona High, and then you moved up here eventually. Obviously, you said you live in
I
north
think I was about
here.
23 when I moved up here.
Okay.
Sort of just
Did you go to school
started
with Winona
going
Ryder?
to sleep in my girlfriend's house or apartment, and eventually she said, you want to start paying rent? oh, okay. Yeah.
So you were in bands. You said your first one was in 10th grade. What was the name of that band? You remember?
So it was AJA. We called it Asia.
A-
I think it was off of some album. I'm not sure. It was
Yeah.
a very strange, eclectic mix of a progressive rock bass player, a kid on drums. He was 16, and he was. Oh no, I think at the time he was probably 14 because we were 16.
Mhm.
So he was. But he was very energetic, and he's still energetic to this day. He's just a super positive dude. And then 2 Kiss fans for guitar players.
Oh, that's quite the ensemble there.
It was very interesting, yeah. And then I got hooked up with some other guys in town and in Winona, and it was called The News for like a month, and we realized there was another band called The News. So it's so cheesy. We called it Freelance.
Freelance, nice.
That's actually awesome.
and it was kind of cool. I mean, the guitar player's name was Ambul, and he thought ambulance would be pretty cool. Bob Ambul, right?
God.
So he wanted it. He wanted it in the in reverse,
Yep.
like you see
Yep.
it.
Oh, yeah, right.
There you go. There you go.
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So Freelance, we played around for about 5 years, and we got with first I was booking the band locally, and then we ended up getting with Variety Artists up here in town. That was a booking agency. That was a national booking agency. It was doing like the Flaming O's and a bunch of other alternative stuff, and we were kind of playing a mix of covers and originals, and the covers were anything from new, it was pretty much MTV rock.
Sure.
So some new wave, some hard rock, Loverboy to Dokken to,
And a lot of people
whatever was in the new wave pop thing that.
Oh, right.
And this was way before any technology was around. So did you have to do all of your own promotions? How's that work? How does that get
Posters.
Oh,
yes.
posters.
It was all about the posters.
Okay.
And you'd have to do poster routes.
Xerox.
And yeah, right.
Xerox.
Xerox.
No, and we spent big money on really nice full color posters that were like 36 by 24.
Oh, okay.
And they'd do them mailing out, and we'd be playing everywhere from Michigan to Idaho.
So how do you get? Okay, so did you have an artist do the posters, and then you just had to made up? Because money's got to come first when you're young, right?
Right.
And you got to start going, what are we spending our money on
Right.
first? Is it gear or?
We were playing, yeah. So what happened is I had a free ride offered for college from my grandfather. He's like, hey, I'll take care of you where you want to go. And I'm like, I think I want to take a year off, figure out what I want to do with my life before I go spending a whole bunch of money on college, right? And I came back to him about a year later after playing with a band for a while. And I'm like, I think I want to be a musician. So I need a loan. Will you co-sign a loan for me?
Oh, okay.
And he co-signed a loan, and we bought a bus, and we bought a PA and a light show, and we hit the road and bought a bunch of posters too.
So how did you promote around? Did you just promote around Minnesota then first, or?
First, it was regional, right? It was mainly down in the southern Minnesota thing. The big color posters were because, and we were doing, more like local print shop kind of posters before. And then, of course, when you get with a national agency, they're like, we need real material there, son.
Not the pull-off tabs at the bottom.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. And we did have those, right? You start with that. It's so funny.
And
appearing when you call us.
Did you guys have a recording of any sort? Did the promotions company send a CD to Bozeman and say they're coming to town in 2 weeks?
You mean an 8-track?
Like yeah, at this point, or is that a little too early?
Back then, they got us an audition on Star Search, which they recorded, and I think they used as promo, and then we tried to record some things, and we did a really poor job of it because we didn't know what the heck we were doing yet. We were doing very creative recording. We were recording from one cassette to another and adding a track kind of thing, and then because the cassette players would be slightly different speeds, the pitch of the song would change after each bounce, right? It was very interesting.
Let the tape stretch.
So, you do all kinds of creative things when you need to, you got time and ideas, lots of ideas. And then, we spent money up in the cities to go to a recording studio, which was, a sound engineer had a setup in his house that was kind of hack, and, we could afford him, and it still sounded like dung. But at least it was in key.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to start somewhere, right? You got to start somewhere.
So when did you kind of develop into Gemini? I remember Gemini was you guys all of a sudden you were like the thing in the cities.
So what happened with that was, freelance started kind of falling apart. Egos. We couldn't, young men with different ideas on what things are going to happen, tend to argue a lot. And we did a lot of that. We argued
Ambulance wanted his own record deal.
And the alcohol.
Bob and I were the intellectuals. And then, and then we had Dave Smokey and Bill Knopp, and they were just there for the party. You know what I mean? They were.
And the alcohol was flowing.
The cigarettes and beer. If they had cigarettes and beer, they were happy. They didn't care about anything else. So they'd come back after 8 weeks on the road, and they wouldn't have a cent in their pocket because they'd spent it all on
all that stuff.
I'd come back, and I hadn't spent any of it because I wasn't drinking. Wasn't smoking. But it's funny. Gemini. So I auditioned for Gemini in 86 because I started with freelance in 81.
And they'd already been around for a while then, Gemini had?
They had cultivated a pretty big following down in the southern Minnesota area for 10 years previously with different members and stuff over the years. I replaced the original singer. And so we had a lot of I think southern Minnesota people coming that had moved maybe up to the cities that were coming out to seeing us too. And so when we started breaking the markets on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, or the Sundays, because everything was still running 5, 6 nights, 7 nights a week.
Right.
We were having pretty good turnouts on the off nights, and all of a sudden we got the weekends, and then we're having really good turnouts, and I don't know, just we had something that worked and clicked.
Right. And I remember, I mean, you got Roger and Rob, Tracy, and was it Dave on the drums?
Yeah, Dave was on the drums at first.
When did, I mean, like, to me, that was like the quintessential Gemini. That was like the best Gemini.
That's when okay, so before that lineup, what happened was we're fucking off a lot, right? We were playing, we were playing ballrooms, and we had the gigs and all this stuff, and I was getting tired of just whatever would come our way, kind of take the gigs, and I told Rob, it's like, hey, dude, I'm gonna have to bow out unless we're gonna take this seriously and start writing some songs and and really create a focus,
right?
A goal, set some goals, let's go after it, that kind of thing, and get a real agent and do all that kind of stuff. And so we got a rehearsal studio in the cities, and the drummer at the time was Brad Apold. He was from Austin, Minnesota. Great drummer, great guy, lots of fun, super talented drummer, but he didn't want to take it very seriously. He was just, I'm here for the fun, and don't box me in with all that stuff. It's like, okay, we replaced him with Dave because Dave seemed like he was into the serious thing, and he was a showy drummer, and he wasn't a great drummer, but but he was a great showman,
right?
Excellent showman, and that's what it was about in the 80s, right?
Absolutely,
it's all about the show. And
who he reminded me of was Animal from the Muppets.
Totally, yeah, totally. Big furry chest, big hair everywhere. Yeah, yeah. That was Dave. And so we started hitting it hard. Things started going really well. We got tight, even though, we had a really miss hodgepodge of guys that, kind of, there was a rotating door, it seemed like. So we get going for a while, and then a guy would just say, I'm out. Or it get to a point where you're like, I can't work with you anymore.
Yeah.
And, that just happens in all those kinds of bands, I think, when you really start to focus in and work hard on something. But, we had some success.
So all the usual places.
Got a lot of radio play, and we'd work.
Oh, Pat played you?
Yeah, so we were
Patrick.
Yeah,
I hate Pat.
I hate
Let's establish this right now.
Okay, Rick. There's the rest of it for
Trick.
you.
Some have called me Trick, and some have called me Prick, but it's all good.
We'll get that story out of you later on about Pat. Then.
It's because of Saturday Night Live, isn't it?
It legit. No, I went by Pat as a younger man, and as soon as that skit came out, I'm like, fuck, I'm Pat. I am
not. I'm not of questionable gender. I know who I am.
So you played all the usual places like Mirage and Iron Horse, and
so when we started breaking in, the Mirage wasn't around. It was Nibs. It came along later, but we were building and building and building, and we worked in the ballroom circuit as well. We did really well out in the rural areas. In the ballrooms, we'd drop all the farm people for about 100 miles in any direction. And they'd converge, and we'd make good money, and then we'd take our money. And while we were playing in the clubs during the week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, or whatever, there's nothing to do during the day, so we'd write songs. We save up our money. At the end of the month, we'd have enough money to go and record a couple of tunes that we had already tried out on the audiences to see if they liked them, if they responded to them. Not all the tunes made it. And then we recorded Brian Bart's for that first album.
Yeah.
Brian Bart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another guy that I when I got to Loud and Local, it was like Mike Johnson. I don't know if you know him, Hammerhead from
Yeah,
Brutus.
yeah.
He was the drummer.
Yeah.
Mike Johnson's like, oh yeah, Brian Part's a badass. You gotta play that, man. And then he was also like,
Yeah.
oh, you gotta play Gemini. You gotta play. He like knew
Yeah.
everything about the, you know,
The scene. Yeah.
I was fairly green when I got into 93X in 1997, but by 2000 I was well versed in local music. So it took a few minutes. But
In 97,
Mike
they were
was
still playing
instrumental
Gemini. I like it.
Yeah.
Because I left
No,
in
and I was trying to
93.
remember
Right.
what the hell I was playing from you guys, but I think I remember one of your earlier successful originals was Coming Home.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was that
Coming
one?
Home was the ballad. Yep. That was the ballad.
And
that
it's
got
not,
us
and it's
a
not
lot of
Cinderella
airplay.
Coming Home. It's not a cover, but yeah, no, that's why I remember it. It's not Cinderella.
Yeah, it's not Ozzy.
Right.
Yeah,
But-
we did really well with that formula, and then our originals became covers because we'd try them out and we'd build them up, and then by the time we got the album recorded, pressed, and out, we were selling about 150 copies a night off the stage. You know, just right there at the
Yeah,
show.
and it was,
pretty
I
great.
mean, how you produced it, it was great. I mean,
Yeah.
it was high quality.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I put it, that CD, and I put it in like my rotation back then, you get the little 6 CD changer back in your car. I mean,
Yeah.
like dating myself now. But
Brian was no slouch in the
Yeah, you
studio.
could
he,
not-
he
you could-
produced
I
a
mean,
good,
it was-
good product, you know, and he taught at IPR for a long time, recording after that. So, I mean, he knew his stuff for sure. So he made us sound like we wanted to sound. Big,
Yeah.
ginormous, and yeah, it worked great. So, and then the second album, we kind of built our own studio down in Faribault where Rob was living, and they built it in the basement of a place, and we could only record after business hours. You know, go down there, and we could be up all night and record all night, but we couldn't start before 6. And we go down, and that was our new rehearsal place, and we record down there for the second album, and that worked out really great. So the second album was self-produced, and it came out pretty good, I think.
yeah, I mean, both. I mean, those albums were fantastic. And
What was
I know
the
a lot.
second album called?
Out for Blood.
Okay, yeah.
Rob just had that. He's just like, dude, it's got to be Out for Blood. It's got to be Out for Blood. Like, okay. So we had the artist that did the first cover, you know, do the second cover with the knight, you know, swinging this big battle thing, torture instrument of destruction. I forget what they call those things. Those spiked balls on the end of a chain.
Yeah,
That's
mace,
That's
yep.
what it is. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. Back in the early digital art phases.
So it says in 1990 you started your Nightmare.
Well, with the release of the first album,
With the
yeah.
release of the
So
first
that
album.
was basically at first it was a fictional label.
Okay.
It was design me a logo to the artist.
Okay.
Right? Nightmare Records. Yeah, that sounds cool. And he makes the size on the side, and it looks all metal.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, that's cool, right? So the first couple albums, we had a fictional label, and we basically had self-released.
Sure.
So when I put out my next record with King's Machine, I just continued that trend, and then I started signing other bands and distributing other bands, local bands, hooked up with international distributors, and had more product. So I was like, well, hey, I can help my buds out. I can make a little inroads into the music scenes,
Right.
and diversify my
Portfolio.
positioning
Yeah.
musically, and I can talk to more media people that way. I can get more connections, and so I'm thinking, yeah, all right, this one hand washes the other kind of
Sure.
thing. And so we'd gotten a write-up in Metal's Edge, I think, just in the local thing or the indie thing with Gemini, and I had distributors from and music mail order companies calling me right away. We want your stuff.
Oh, sweet.
So they'd be buying 500 CDs at a time,
Wow.
paying for them up front.
Up front.
Yeah, paying for
Wow,
them up front,
front.
right? This is crazy stuff. And I'm thinking, wow, I can help my friends and myself too. So, yeah, it was kind of one of those things. it didn't work that way for every band, obviously,
right.
but we were really fortunate that it worked that way for us. And that kind of took off actually those big distributors took off right after I left Gemini.
Mm.
We got to a point where we couldn't work together anymore. We just weren't having fun, or I wasn't having fun with it anymore. Weird stuff, people, personalities, conflicts, egos, all that typical noise. And we've all made up, and for the most part, most of us are.
You're still friends.
We're still friends, right?
And that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
It's like a good marriage breakup, you
Right.
know, not the bad one.
Right.
that they usually are.
Right. So it was like,
Almost never happens, but
I was the guy that was carrying around the briefcase, doing all the business stuff at one point, and then I was the guy going, I can't fire everybody, so I'm gonna quit. I'm out, And so I started my own thing, King's Machine, and created the label and started doing other bands, signing them.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that in particular. Music producing.
Yeah.
Like, can you name some of the bands that you've worked with? And then also, I suppose at the time it's the right or the best thing to do for you. But like I was going to say, performing or producing, do you have a passion for either or more, or does it just kind of depend on what point in time?
I like being an executive producer that hears it and goes, do that, try that, do that stuff. Because I get it behind the board and I get a little too anal retentive. I can't hear it as a whole as easily because I'm getting myopic with everything, and then I have to walk away from it for a day or two, come back to it, and then go, okay, I'm hearing it with fresh ears. I can mix it again and that kind of thing. So I like kind of coming in and going after an engineer's had a mix set up,
right,
and going, yeah, it needs a little of this, it needs a little of that, and then seeing where that goes. And
that's the fun part about having experience in all of that is you have the, you get the chops, and then you go, oh,
right.
Now, with this, it's like the Goo Goo Dolls Iris. Someone's like, hey, we should put some violins in this song. And
Right.
they were like, what, violins?
Exactly.
And they're like,
or change the arrangement.
And it turned out to be the correct choice.
Right. Or change
100%.
the arrangement. You need two choruses there, or you need to go to the chorus sooner. You need a bridge. There's a middle 8 section that goes, takes it somewhere else because it's boring if you don't, and those kinds of things.
So you enjoy that more than anything?
No, my favorite
Or do
thing
you
is
still like
performing.
performing? Okay.
I'm a performer, really. In my
Sure.
heart, that's where my true love is having that connection with people live, and that energy exchange, because that's the best. If you can make people happy and you get that back, it's amazing.
So we were talking about in our last episode too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's super, super special. So.
So what are some of the bands that you've produced, and how did they turn out? Did you do anything that just became huge? Have a hit song in Sweden or something like that, or anything, or in America or wherever?
Yeah. We had stuff that charted in Japan with Balance Power. When I was with them, I did 3 albums with them, and let's see. As far as stats go, Germany and Japan were our best markets. We made a lot of money in those countries, and we're able to leverage that more from those countries through sub-licensing to other countries through those record companies that released us in those areas, and ended up being released in Brazil, South Korea. No, was it South Korea?
That's a weird dynamic I've always thought of internationally. I think ABBA was shit in Sweden, but they did great in the States.
Exactly.
And a lot of metal stuff does well in Europe that doesn't pull it off here.
Totally.
What
Totally.
is that? That's
and
can you put your finger on that?
Just different markets, different cultures, different interests, different. You go to Germany, and okay, the food is 10 times better than food here, as far as quality goes, right? And most of Europe is, not the UK.
No,
not the
no.
UK.
The first time I tried their ketchup, I was like,
God.
never again.
No.
What is this horrible mess?
Not the UK. The UK is gross. Food's gross there. You go out for Indian food when
You're right.
Don't eat the Mexican there. I went out for Mexican in Sweden. Oh, dude. It was hilarious. It's like, nice spaghetti sauce you got there.
Old spaghetti sauce, it's salsa.
Right, exactly. We were just laughing. And the guy comes out. He was my family, I'd taken them to Sweden for a tour with the next band that I was in. Anyway, I'm sidetracking. Where was I again?
Just the difference between markets and international, and some of the stuff you've produced. And is there a diamond in the rough story that you have about somebody that you maybe helped along?
Diamond in the rough. Okay, so I've been fortunate enough to hook up with some really talented people and have managers bring me gold nuggets. Right, just going, here, check this out. And you're like, you reckon I was one of those guys that liked music. Didn't matter what kind of music.
Mm-hmm.
I liked all kinds of music, but I realized with the name Nightmare Records, for whatever reason, power metal and progressive metal were the only things that people would identify with that label. I wonder why.
Yeah.
So, while I was taking a lot of different stuff locally, I found out right away what wasn't working, what it was, but I could trade stuff with international labels.
Right.
Bring in more stuff from Europe and sell that, and I would pay the artist on the music that I actually had traded. So it worked out for the artists getting their stuff out distributed as well, and it brought me more product that I could sell directly and have a more diverse catalog. So I did that kind of a thing where I was doing international trading as well as working with distributors like Bertus over in the Netherlands and a few other ones that are not coming to mind at the moment, in Germany and Italy and
they'll come
France.
to you tonight when you go to bed.
Yeah, and France.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah. And some of those were labels, so they would co-license things later that they liked. Some of the artists were like Prototype, who got on early Guitar Hero as an unlockable track, one of the super speedy ones, like Through the Fire and Flames with, was that Dragon Force.
Oh, yeah.
So Dragon Force, Prototype,
the,
unlockable tracks, right? Prototype was right before the Dragon Force is one of the most difficult things to play, right? But all these Guitar Hero fans would be buying it on iTunes, right? And they would be selling $40,000 worth of downloads of this one song, a year for a long time. And I'm just like, okay, great. That's a really interesting success story that you wouldn't have thought about.
Right.
Right. And then
That's interesting.
I hooked up with a diamond in the rough from Brazil called Mindflow. They were really cool guys who were into this kind of eclectic progressive rock metal thing. And they just had amazing connection with their audience. And wherever they would go, people loved them and would buy their product, right? So that was how they connected and how that worked. And we sold a bunch of their product. And then I had hooked up with Pyramaze after I left Balance Power. And Pyramaze was a Danish-American thing. A couple of players from America, a keyboard player and myself, and then the rest were Danes. And it was more of a power metal, but it had progressive elements. And
that's a great band. I mean, I listened to a lot of stuff. And the weird thing is, I was about 2 years ago with Apple Music and just like paying for the downloads. All right, I'm going to pay the $30 frickin' to and I want some cool metal. And all of a sudden it's like Balance of Power. Who's this? And I hear Fire Dance and I'm like, God damn, that sounds just like Lance. Cool band. Not even thinking. Yeah,
it was
Lance. Duh. So And then was it Avian?
Avian.
Or
yeah.
Avian.
Yeah.
Steve Stein, right?
Well, originally it was David Ellefson
Oh, right.
and Jan, and who else was in the band originally?
Dave Ellefson from Megadeth.
So we
Megadeth,
did
yeah.
this. Yeah, we kind of
Also
it was
a
a
Southern
recording.
Minnesota boy.
Right. Yeah. Dave Ellefson from Megadeth, and so
I'm
he
a
was. It was
couple
in
of-
his.
I'm a couple of friends removed from being a friend of his, but whatever. We'll talk about that later. Through
Me too, but
sobriety.
I got to hang with him a bit, and he is really cool.
Yeah. No, he is.
Um,
Yeah, he's very nice.
So it was more of a recording project. He was working with Jan. I think he was just doing spec songs, like he was getting paid to record ideas with Jan. And he called me in on it, and he said, "Hey, I got this thing," and he had gotten my information from Orphan Studios, where we mixed the last couple of Balanced Power albums.
Right.
And Todd down there, the engineer, had said, "Hey, you might want to call Lance on that." So we ended up just hooking up and demoing up songs for money. Right? He'd pay us $400 to demo up an idea for a song, and I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I can do that."
That's a good way to make some money.
Right, I can do that. And then after 10 songs, Dave's like, this is kind of starting to sound like a thing. When you mix, it sounds pretty good. Why don't you mix the album and we'll put it out and do something with it? I'm like, okay. I wasn't familiar with Pro Tools very much, but I had learned some stuff from Todd with the Balanced Power
Right.
and Shining Star that I put out, which was a side thing. It was meant to be a real thing, but label folded down in Brazil. Never sent the money that I'd invested in recording the album down in Orphan, and spent all this money. And so I ended up with the masters, and I'm like, well,
It's
okay.
a long plastic hallway run by pimps and thieves.
Yeah, right. I got stuck
You
with
don't
that
know what
production
it's
fee. But I got the rights to release
Right.
it, and I made my money back on it eventually, but it took a long
It took a long
and that's where, it took a long time. And then it was, okay, priority is Pyramaze. That's going to be my priority. And so I focused on that. And so I was trying to balance live local things because I like to play more than the original stuff was giving me the opportunity to play, because it was kind of a avant-garde, a little obscure. It's out there, it's getting lots of press and stuff, but there wasn't as much touring. I like to play all the time. I like to sing all the time, right? I like to perform. So I was doing Decibel for quite a while
Okay.
as a local cover band to keep my chops up, so that when
Yeah, I remember
those
that. When you
opportunities
said that, I
would
was
come
like,
up, I'd be able to go out there and nail it and not suck, right?
Yeah.
Because, that's what happens when you record something and then you don't sing for long periods of time, and then something knocks on your door and you go out there and then you suck. No, I don't want to suck. I don't want to suck. I want to go out there and nail it. So I, started doing the martial arts to stay in shape. And before that, I was going to U.S. Women Fitness and,
You
doing aerobics.
Bally's.
Yay!
Bally's, yeah.
Way more fun. Martial arts,
Way more
Way more fun, yeah.
way more painful, but way more fun.
Yep, absolutely.
That's true. I mean, at my best, I was sparring 3 days a week, hour and a half, 2 hours at a time. So, I mean, I was actually fit and in shape. Unlike now, my
Your chi
my
is
sergeant
your chi
side
settled.
view.
Your chi
Yeah.
has settled a little bit.
What's that?
Your chi has settled a little.
A little
Your
bit.
chi is
Yeah, it's settled way down here around I think they call it a tire.
is that the beer or the chi?
That's actually a Rick Fay joke. He likes to likes to talk about that.
I like
Shout out
that.
to Rick Fay.
I like that.
But I mean, like Pyramaze, I listened to Pyramaze earlier today and was like, God, why did I not know
That stuff,
these
was
bands
kick ass, wasn't
awesome? And I'm like, going, man, I would have been into this like 10 years ago. Like, oh yeah, we're not worthy,
it? Mm-hmm.
just awesome. And I really do like Balance of Power as well. I mean, kind of that, there's that melody, but it's got that kind of edgy kind of, I mean, it's almost anthem. You just feel like
Right. It was progressive metal with hooky choruses.
Yes.
Right. So I can't not write a hook for some reason. So I have to have a hooky chorus, probably because of all of the, early rock influences I had as a kid on the radio. So it was kind of like, I looked at BOP as kind of Queensryche meets Dream Theater.
Yes.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Just thinking
Wrong with that.
Yeah. Took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking about that too. It's like the vocals are spot on. The guitars are spot on. It's so melodic and stuff, and just awesome.
So music genre
kinda
inept as I am, what is explain progressive rock for me.
So
Compared
progressive rock would be old school, would be Rush, would be
Yes.
Kansas, yes, would be even early Journey. It would be, I mean, you can go down there, and then there's a lot of progressive music that is more avant-garde than that. Those were more mainstreamed, hard rocking kind of things, right? Which I was drawn to, not the more avant-garde stuff. And then progressive metal, I guess my first taste of that was Dream Theater and Queensryche, really. But it goes, far deeper than that. But there's a lot of, it got very derivative, and it started to just all kind of sound the same and get really boring for me personally. So, I was always looking for the label, something that sounded different. And I found a band from Tunisia, of all places, called Mirath, that blended Oriental music with progressive metal.
Interesting.
Right? And it was amazing. You guys got to check out Mirath. So I signed the first 3 albums. Well, no, they had a first album. They were a Symphony X cover band, right?
Wow.
Right. A cover band that does Symphony X songs.
Wow.
So they were really talented, right? The guy had gone to a music institute in France, and he learned all the, he's an amazing guitar player, amazing band. All the players in that band are top notch, but they have these technical grooves, right, or riffs, blended with seriously danceable rhythms and stuff, right? And then you got this Middle Eastern kind of, Led Zeppelin taken to the nth degree, kind of strings going in, the actual kind of Middle Eastern Oriental string sounds. They're just
how do you spell that?
Traditional. Mirath is Myrath.
Absolutely going to listen to that.
Yeah, super cool band. So I actually signed their second, third, and fourth album, and then they blew up far more than I could do for them. So they ended up with a bigger label. Yeah.
And it says
So
you
look them up on YouTube and
says you do a little bit of country and a little bit of Christian stuff there too.
I did some Christian stuff for a while. I hooked up with Bradley Dean for a little while locally, and we did some that's a whole nother story. Gets a little crazy. But he called me up one day and he said, "Yeah, you want to do some shows?" And I'm like, "Okay." He sent me a bunch of these originals, and I'm like, "This is amazing stuff, Sure, I'm down for it." And when I learned the tunes, we went in there, and then I didn't realize we were going to play for half an hour. Then he was going to minister for an hour, and then we play for another half hour. And I'm like, this is weird. This is really weird.
And we're in a church.
Yeah.
So I can't.
We started playing high school assemblies, actually.
Oh, okay.
And he would minister to the youth. It just didn't quite feel right for me personally, so I didn't do that. But the Shining Star was a Christian band, and it was all, but it wasn't overt.
Sure.
I get turned off by the Testament kind of lyrics.
Right, right.
Not Testament the band. I love Testament the band, but the lyrics that are
making you feel guilty.
Yeah. Just
it's
the
like,
biblical,
why do I feel
the
bad?
biblical verses.
Jesus wants you back.
You can write good themes that are Christian themes, which we did with Balance of Power a lot. It was very spiritual lyrics and could go any direction. A lot of those guys were Jehovah Witnesses actually in that band.
Oh, wow.
And then I had a bass player who was more into the Tibetan kind of mentality of spirituality, and I was brought up in more of a new age thing, but I went through a 7-year Christian phase as well, and where I really dug in and, performed a lot in the church, and then the church, you got to see how people change and how and all of the so it was a really spirit-filled church. It sucked me in because it felt good to be there, and then the spirit left the building, and so did I.
It's like politics march right in.
Right.
I'm done.
Totally.
Okay. Lance, I was going to ask you, I am kind of ignorant when it comes to some metal genres. Basically because I worked at 93X for so many years, and then I can't listen to like Chili Peppers, Green Day, ad nauseum. You can just go down the list. But now that I'm out of radio, I've been out of radio since 2016. I now listen to I listen to country. I listen to like Scandinavian, like not metal, but just like they sing in Old Norse. Like Wardruna. I don't know if you know who Wardruna is.
I don't, but I can relate a lot to the Celtic metal stuff and the pagan metal.
Yeah, check out Wardruna.
Metal.
Yeah, but no, they put on a show. Like you feel like you're in the year 950, and you're at you're like at a seance or a sacrifice or whatever. But I recently came across there's this new genre of metal I hadn't heard before, and maybe you've heard of a band like Sleep Token. Have you heard Sleep Token?
No. I'm a little out of the loop lately
I was too.
Of metal because, the last 5 years I've been doing 70s pop stuff, right?
Nice.
I've been doing everything with the 70s Magic Sunshine Band for the last 5 years. I've been loving it. I've been loving it. So much fun. And just happy music that puts smiles on people's faces. And, I kind of had grown tired of the metal stuff, I guess. And it sounds...
We're getting old.
Yeah, of course.
We're getting old.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just my T count's down, as I get older.
So this band I mentioned will ring your bell and wake you back up because it's...
Okay.
They are melodic. They have a saxophone in a metal song. The song goes through probably 3 or 4 time changes, and it sounds like there's 2 other songs within the song, if you know what I mean. It's so
that sounds
layered.
Progressive. That's what progressive is. Yes, it's evolving something and including different aspects of different.
Patrick, what was the name of that?
Token.
Sleep Token.
Sleep Token.
Yeah, they just got a brand new song, and I heard it about 5 months ago, and I was like, my jaw literally on my table. I was like, holy
good name of a band, Sleep Token. That's awesome.
So it's something very different, but it was really good, and it hit you because that it was unique, and then you were like, I'm all in. Wow, I needed something new.
Look at that guy.
That's frightening.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? And they don't have names. They have a letter for their name, and nobody knows who the fuck they are. They literally are.
They are anonymous.
Yeah. So
exactly. They are anonymous.
So people looking, that's what they look like.
That's a little frightening.
But
that's what happens in your nightmares right there.
If they come to my house trick or treating for Halloween, they're getting the whole bowl of candy. Sorry. Shutting the door, locking it.
And then you're picking up the shotgun behind the door.
It's like, where's my gun? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Wow, they got the outfits there. Look at that. He's got the swords and the armor. That's pretty good.
Like samurai.
But they do not sound
theater.
like they look. You will be blown away by the musicianship.
Well,
the
that's
way the
like
guy
Ghost,
sings.
right? When I first saw Ghost, I was like,
Yep.
that look does not fit that 70s progressive rock playing,
Yeah.
I suppose everybody thought that about Kiss too, right?
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're right.
But
Then they hear
harmony,
Beth and they go,
chorus,
no, they hear
all-
Dinosaur.
They look like demons, but they don't sound like it.
But he's actually calling us check to say, Beth, I won't be home tonight because I'm banging your sister. They say I'm at practice, but I'm not.
No, she stopped by practice and found out he wasn't there.
Yeah,
So
that's-
any, I'm curious about. Do you have a local music stamp like Rockwise on the scene that I would know about? I mean, I don't know. You probably don't know what I know about.
I'm
but
not
I'm just
sure
trying to say,
what
like, how many
your
local
mean
was there a
is
lot of local
stamp.
bands you worked with in like 2000 to 2010 as a producer?
No, not really. Most of the stuff I worked with was international, so
Right. Okay.
not much local other than
'Cause
the
I know,
Avian thing.
Avian, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what are some of the studios that you worked with? I know you said Todd earlier. Todd, what was his last name that you worked with? Because I know a Todd that
Okay,
was
you're gonna put me on the spot.
Todd from.
I should know.
Whatever. I don't know
He's
either.
in Winterland now.
Yeah.
And
That's what I think
he used to be at Orphan, and he's a Facebook friend. So
We're all
Todd
over
Ba-
50, so you have to
Right.
give us a
I
little
want to say
slack.
Todd Bauman, maybe. I don't know. Todd Fitzgerald, Todd Bauman.
that's
I can't
it,
remember.
Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Todd
Yeah.
Fitzgerald. Thank you. And yeah, Todd's great. Todd's really got. Well, he still has his hearing. You know, after he was a player that stopped playing out early enough that he still has his hearing and he can hear stuff I can't hear anymore, right? You know, because the perpetual 24/7 tinnitus that I have going on in my head. But yeah, the love of music. They say it's not an ear thing; it's a brain thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
The tinnitus.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What about legendary venues that you were fortunate enough to play? Like I've done some stage intros at First Avenue, and for me, it was like every time I step on that stage, I'm like, "Fuck, Prince played here in 1984," you know. So I get a little, you know. But like for me, it was First Avenue. Like just stepping on that stage was fucking cool. Like, do you have one of those?
I never thought about it like that. I never thought about it like that. I think that when we went on tour in Europe and we were hitting a lot of the theaters, there was a lot of really cool theaters that we'd play in, that were more, you know, 2 to 3,000 seaters, and they'd pull out all the seats, or they had pulled out all the seats of these older theaters so that they were more of a live venue kind of thing, and they'd have an upper deck as well. Those were really, those were
ones,
really
yeah, the
cool.
old ones, old buildings.
Yeah, old theaters. Played one right next to Moulin Rouge in
Really?
France. Yeah,
Nice.
that was.
Wow.
I'm trying to remember the La Locomotive. It was right downtown.
No, did you play
in
Japan
France.
too?
Pardon me?
You played Japan too?
I did not get. I got in a little late after the economic crash thing with there. So when we first came out with Balance of Power, when I joined, they had an album before I was in the band, and then they hired me because I guess they needed a new singer. Their label told them they needed a new singer.
'Cause you're fucking
That's not
awesome.
good.
Sorry, Tony. So Tony became our bass player originally,
Yeah.
but we had originally when I joined, had Bruce Dickinson's from his solo band, bass player Chris Dale in Balance of Power, and anyway, so no, never got to play Japan.
Did you ever go there?
I have never been to Japan, and
Well, that's good because you're kind of big.
I would love to go to Japan, but I'm sure it's like
Godzilla.
point in case. We just played with 70s band up at this scamp camper function thing. Like it is a big what would you call it? Like a get together of all the scampers, and they had food and they had entertainment and they had promotions for different companies that they're aligned with, and their the scamp people that buy the thing, and it's kind of a culture, an underground culture that I was completely unaware of. But they had offered me a camper to stay in after the show because it was up at Moondance.
The Moondance.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's up at the Moondance grounds, and I'm like, that's like 3.5 hours up there. Yeah, I'll take a camper. I'm not driving home after the show. So, point in case, I'm too big for a scamper, a 16-foot scamper. Right. I hit my head like 3 or 4 times in the thing, and trying to pee in that bathroom is no fun, right? You're like,
You're squatting down.
Yeah,
so far,
exactly
you
what it
actually
is.
can't
I'm in the
up.
fetal position, sleeping.
you get home, your wife's like, "Why are you walking bow-legged?"
And
She came with me this time,
bent
so
over.
she experienced the whole scamper thing too. Neither one of us got any sleep.
Oh, man.
in the ceiling and let it drip down into the toilet.
I feel big in Japan. It's just kind of funny that way. It's like God, everything's so small. You got to go sideways to some of the doors.
Really?
Oh yeah, the roads are really tiny. You could not have an F-150 there.
Yeah.
You could not have a truck there. They're just too big.
I imagine. Yeah. Yeah.
So your American side is bigger
Yeah,
than your Japanese side.
Yeah, this Japanese guy goes, he's like, "Are you half Japanese?" I go, "Watashi no hanbun desu." Hanbun is half.
Whoops.
And he goes, "Half Japanese, half American?" I said, "Chigao." I said, "Half American, half Japanese." And he knew exactly what I was talking about. That was pretty funny. That was a funny.
Are you?
I'm half Japanese.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell
This half is
glasses on.
American and this half is
But you didn't.
No, he's
but,
just part of the problem. He hates Asian people, and he's just really racist. We're going to throw him off this program pretty soon.
I'm really Howie Mandel.
Yeah.
We've heard that.
Yeah.
You got a Howard Mandel on your show?
It's like Howie Mandel and Tool, Maynard from Tool.
Got
baby.
twice up north.
Yeah.
Twice up north. They're like, "You look like
Howie.
You look like Howie Mandel."
It's like never heard of that before. Nope. But I mean, it's funny because you didn't even start doing martial arts until you were an adult.
No, actually, I wasn't.
Well-
I did the background taekwondo.
Yeah.
With my friend Tony Cole back in 6th, 7th grade. I did a little bit of in Okinawa when I lived there. I went like a couple times with my brother. My brother was more into the Wei-Shi-Ru.
Okay.
But I did the backyard stuff, the taekwondo, learned all the kicks, this spinning. So Marty
Oh, you
Lindquist
got
is
the fancy stuff.
Marty Lindquist was now he's a big time kickboxer, and he's been in kickboxing for a long time. He's like, "Stacy, I remember Great Skate parking lot, you were doing a tornado kick, and that got me into martial arts." So that's his martial arts journey started for me at Great Skate. But
Nice.
I didn't start heavily into it. I did a little bit in the military. We did our stuff. I had a friend that did martial arts, but I'm like, "You're going to Iraq for the Gulf War." So I'm like, "Oh, crap. I better start
Learn.
well, yeah. So that's how I got Collie, because the Navy SEALs, Paul Vunek was teaching the
Collie's
teaching the-
good.
Yeah, teaching the
I love Collie.
teaching the Navy SEALs. So I'm like, I need to do some weaponry and do that. So I started in '88.
Yeah,
No.
I study a little of that with Greg's
Greg
classes.
Greg does it too. Yep.
His Jeet Kune Do classes,
Yep.
and his mixed arts classes,
Yeah.
his stick fighting stuff, and it was all good.
Yeah. Greg's
The trapping.
Greg's great all around.
He's a really well-rounded
Yeah.
martial artist.
Yeah.
He's
He is.
really good. Yeah.
He's that guy that you see him with a, back then he didn't look, he was a U of M wrestler, I believe.
Mhm.
Yep. And he was but he's a shorter guy.
Right.
You put a big sweater on him and you go, but yeah,
Well, he's probably all of 175 pounds, 180 pounds, and 5'7" maybe.
So he came back later on when we were at
I don't know.
we were grappling at
his personality and his ability are huge.
Yeah, we grappled together at Rick's place, and he started on the ground. I was on top to just start out this grappling thing. So we were doing a seminar, I think it was, and he was there, and I'm like, God, because I know who Greg. I'm like, there's no place I want to stick my hand because I know it's like a trap, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's he's that good. So, but
Well,
Rick-
you're not so bad yourself. I mean, I started doing Chung Mu Kwan, and I did that for a number of years, and that was kind of a defunct Korean style where the John C. Kim, who the Grand Master, was in the Korean Mafia.
Oh,
So he was.
so he's probably pretty effective.
Yeah, so he was teaching his own army of people without having to pay them. They paid him
Right.
for him to teach them to protect him. So
That's a good model.
it's a great model. If you think about it, it's like, wow, yeah. So then I got into Subakdo. I started doing that. I've been with Subakdo since 1996.
I don't know that art.
It's the largest federalized, martial arts in the world. My black belt number is 41,856, and I got my black belt
There's a lot of them.
20
You got yours 20
years ago.
didn't you?
Wow.
25 years ago.
And you're still that far down the ranks because that's just how big it is.
I mean, well, no, they started what's called a Danban, which is your black belt number, because Grandmaster Huang Qi believed that, we don't have black belt. It's midnight blue because black is the end. You want to be able to keep learning. And so with that, you're continually learning. And, second dan, third dan, fourth dan. When you get to fourth dan, you get a
Fourth
red
down,
belt.
you got to punt or either go for it.
Yeah, no, fourth dan, it's a 9-day test.
Oh,
9 days.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm trying, guys.
that's
Straight
like,
with no sleep.
So yeah, that's when you get into
that's
the
like
serious.
Greg's mixed martial arts is like a 3 or 4 day test, and the Muay Thai is just 4 hours.
Yeah, it's 9 days, and it's different stuff. You're teaching, and there's a lot of different stuff that you're doing, but 10-hour days, 9 days, and then you have a grace period, this period of reflection. So they don't let you know until like 6 months later. Oh, here you go, you got your belt. But
So you earn it, is what
you
you're
earn
saying.
it, yeah. So I mean, so you have these Danbans. I mean, the low numbers are in like the 20,000. Those are low numbers right now. And one of the highest ranking like white guy in Subak-do is Master Cyberlick, Lawrence Cyberlick, who's got 3 doctorate degrees. He's in, I think, 7 or 8 different martial arts. And his lowest ranking is a 4th degree in 7 different martial arts. And his Danban is 1,850.
Wow.
And
Jeez.
how he
So it's kinda like
way
trying to
too
get on the
much.
waiting list for
You know
Packer
way
season
too much.
tickets.
Well, that was kind of the difference. Subak-do is very classical style, very martial style.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to learn philosophy and history as well. And Chung Mukwan, it's like just go break something.
Mm-hmm.
Preferably that guy over there, his face, who's snooping around.
So you got the dichotomy of those two different styles,
Right.
and philosophies is couldn't be more different.
Oh,
Right.
black and white.
That's funny.
So I
It's
stuck
balance.
Yay.
But I stuck with it. I really liked the people. I liked the philosophy, and I stuck with it. And I stayed with it since '96. And hopefully, I may try to open up a school up here in St. Anthony at some point. We'll see.
That'd be really cool. If you do that, please let me know.
Absolutely.
I taught at Greg's school from the moment I got my. They don't really do black belts in Muay Thai, but
No.
they do it. They do it ceremoniously here. So I got that through Greg, not Arjun Chai. I got it through Greg. I did test with Arjun Chai though, eventually, but those tests are not fun.
No, no.
Well, we have a Minnesota College group up here in Mounts View.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Is that the
Peter?
one right across the street, like in the same shop as I had a video store?
Probably.
That I saw
next
it
to
there, and I
Domino's.
thought, is that the Collie Group?
That's Minnesota College Group North, owned by Peter Kwong.
Really?
Yep, my training partner. Yep, and I teach there on Tuesdays.
I should come over there.
Come on
if you guys
down.
need another
Just-
instructor, I
do some Thai
taught from 2005 to when COVID hit, and we started closing down the school
Absolutely.
for a while.
Yeah.
And then I got out of all my normal habits, and I started training online and teaching people online, and I'm like, and then eventually that kind of went away, and I need to get back in shape.
You
on
need to
down.
get back in shape.
Yeah.
Oh boy. A little fatty over here needs to get back in shape then.
I don't know if it was Rick that said this or if it was Guru Dan, but he said in Kali, I think it was this, you're Kali, you're a beginner when you're 55. When you hit 55, then now you're a beginner.
Right.
That's when you start. Even though you've been,
even if you start when you're 33.
if you've been training, like, I've been training since
Right.
'88. I finally became a beginner at 55.
I see.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like, I've
Well,
been a beginner for 3 years.
I like the mentality of that, because if you're going to train, you want to learn.
yeah.
Right.
Right.
it gets boring and stagnant if you're not learning new things,
Yeah.
right? And you're not training new styles, or you're not training with somebody who can teach you something, right? Somebody who's so much more elevated
Yep.
than you are. What's the point,
Yep.
right? If you're always trying to teach somebody to get to your level, you've fallen behind.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well,
That's
so
how I
so
feel
like the genre of Jeet Kune Do, this philosophy is bringing that in, and the latest new collie, that Guru Danbrat was Balintawak was more the because he's always researching different places, and then Peter brought in Mal Morney from he does the Silat Sifian Biladari. It's just phenomenal Silat system. So bringing more of the Silat
That's cool
feel
stuff.
into it is
That's
it's
cool
great.
stuff.
It is great stuff. Yeah. So and that's what I like about Jeet Kune Do is like you can search your own journey and find your own thing, because everybody's so different physiologically and
Right.
physically that
Right.
it's like, oh, I like this, and I like that. And so I thought about going. I even wanted to try fencing. I've always wanted to try fencing.
My
just to
son
see
did
what
it
that's
for a little while.
Yeah. And just you want to explore your body. It's just like music. I always use music as an analogy. Playing music, playing different songs, trying different new things,
Yeah.
and going what works, what doesn't. But I think martial arts and music are pretty much the same type. The philosophies and the mentality of it.
What I like about it is that you can completely lose yourself in the moment, and
Absolutely.
that's what you are in it at that moment, and you are you're living the moment, you're living in the moment.
Yep.
And that is so much more. I don't know.
But what you said about
You
your
can
singing,
lose
right?
all the
Oh,
other
yeah.
crap.
But what
in
you
your
said about your
life, all the worries, all
Yeah.
the nonsense,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff goes out the window, or you're getting punched.
Yeah, you're in
or, or you're
Yeah,
or you're
yeah.
screwing up in your
Yeah,
stage
yeah.
or whatever,
But that's what when you said about your singing, you want to keep it going so you don't lose your chops. And if
Right.
you don't do that with martial arts, you can do
Totally.
the same thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I've been rehabbing all the broken pieces as much as I can, but I'm just jumping up and down on stage, and my knees are.
I'm going to be
killing
doing a
me
seminar.
lately.
I'm going to be doing a self-rehab seminar coming up at Peter's
That would
here.
be
So
good, because my knees need it.
Yeah, my knees are
need it.
shot too.
My knees.
so
need it.
once I get this flyer together, I'll make sure I let you guys know.
That'd be good.
It's all
yeah.
self-rehab
'Cause I
stuff.
did a little too much Muay Thai, right?
Yeah.
25 years of Muay Thai, and that builds certain muscle groups and the
Yeah.
training for
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And I didn't do enough grappling. I didn't do enough of this and that and the other thing. And then I feel like, all right, so yeah, my quads were great.
Yeah.
My abs and my biceps and all that stuff, they were great. But all the other little muscle groups that support them needed help.
Now I'm getting to the stuff of starting to teach cane work, because that's kind of where we're at.
I just bought one.
Yeah.
It's got a dragon handle.
There you go.
Pulls out into a nice little pokey thing. It's pretty cool.
there you go. We'll have to work on that with
It's
you.
not a real one. It would work as a real one, but it's kind of
Now
it's
we-
not
all we
built
need
all that nicely.
All we need to do
Looks-
now is get Patrick into some mixed martial arts stuff. Right,
I
Patrick?
have a gun. I have a gun. I'm fine.
Well, yeah, two of them.
He
He looks like he'd make a formidable wrestler.
Yeah, he looks like a grappler, sumo wrestler, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, if
No.
you remember the spiking Viking, that's him.
Oh.
Big Viking.
I used to have a purple mohawk and go to Vikings games. But no, like I'm interested in like self.
That's where I know that face from.
Oh yeah.
I used to wear yellow face paint.
And back when we
I'm
worked
still
in
a face
93X, my wife and I would go with him. He'd get tickets every now and then, and he's all dressed up, and he's got pom-poms, the cheers and stuff like that. And all the cheerleaders knew him, too, which was hilarious. Because
Oh, I
they're-
heckled the shit out of those
yeah.
poor girls. In a classy, funny way.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like I used to have a fanny pack because my yellow
Used to?
gold pants didn't have pockets that were deep enough to hold all my shit.
Your yellow black Zubas.
No. So, but if you put a fanny pack around your waist and then you stand up and like kind of gyrate your hips, it looks like flap,
Hey,
flap.
Patrick.
And so I would do that at the cheerleaders, and some of them would go, Oh my!
No putting
And then I would
images.
lift up my jersey, and they'd see it's a fanny pack, and they'd go, "Oh, you son of a bitch!"
No putting images in our head, please. No putting images in our head.
Yeah, no, it was like, yeah. I don't know if you guys have seen
Patrick.
I don't know if you've seen the Bad Thoughts by Tom Segura, but if you watch the last skit of Bad Thoughts on Netflix, you'll know what I'm talking about. That's all I'm gonna say about that show. It's really twisted, but very hilarious. But yeah, so yeah, Spiking Viking. Oh, by
It's
the
been
way,
a
Brett,
while since you've been the Spiking Viking, though.
So-
I mean,
So here's the funny thing: is you told me there's an opening on August 2nd for a Vikings fan, or for any guest. And so on August 2nd, I emailed a Vikings fan saying, "Hey, we have an opening August 2nd. Do you want to come on the podcast?" And he's like, "No, dipshit. I'm in Canton, Ohio for the reunion that weekend, and you should fucking be there." And I'm like, "God damn it." He's totally busting my balls because I used to go to Canton as a member of the Hall of Fame fan group. But I haven't been since 2006, and they're trying to get me out there. So every time I talk to an Ultimate fan, they're like, "Hey, OG, show the fuck up. Show your fucking face." So, but Brett, what's cool about this is August 2nd, I could actually be live from Canton doing a podcast. But
only if you're wearing the Spiking Viking gear.
well, of course, all I got to do is I got to just color
Paint
that
some
thing.
purple.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
purple,
got purple.
little yellow.
I got
little
purple on standby. Literally, I do. I have a 9-year-old daughter that likes to dye her hair from time to time. So she's like, "I want purple," and I'm like, "Oh, bless your heart." So I would dye her tips purple, and then anything
All
left
right,
over, I do for myself. But yeah, no, it's fun. I'm looking forward to the next season, and yeah, we're gonna get some. I think we got to get some Ultimate fans on this program here, Brett. So,
I do agree with that.
but yeah, no, I'm just stuck out in California. So unless the Vikings come out here to play in San Jose, pretty much is what it is. It's San Francisco, but it's like way far away. It's Santa Clara, actually. I went in 2019. There was a playoff game here, and I was wearing number 11 because I was a fan of Culpepper back in the day, but I had 11 as my number and a Spiking Viking on the back of the jersey, so it was custom. I have autographs over it, all over the back from, over the years. And I'm going to January of 2019, I'm going to a San Francisco hosting the Vikings in the playoffs. And some car pulls up and honks. And some guy's in there. He's like, "Hey, who's the original number 11? And I'm turning around and I was about to say, "Joe Cap, motherfucker." And it was Joe Cap in the fucking car. And I go, "It was you." And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "You're Joe Cap. Holy shit. Can I get a picture with you?" He's like, "Yeah, let me park the car." So yeah, he parked the car, got a picture with him. I'm wearing number 11. He wasn't wearing a jersey, but he had a Vikings cap on. But he passed away like 2 years ago, I think. But I was just a weird. He lived out here in his retirement and went to that game, and yeah, just those chance encounters happen all the time with me in Vikings. It's so weird, but and rest in peace, Jim Marshall.
Oh
That
yeah,
guy was he was awesome, and I know Brett. You probably served him a couple of times. I mean, he used to
yeah, Jim.
come down.
Yeah, I thought Jim was going to like beat me once because way back in the day, I knew his daughter Jimmy, and Jimmy would hang out with all the rock stars and stuff like that, and I think he got just tired of all the long hair, boys coming over. He'd chase them out.
The girly men.
Yeah, and he was at the Urban Wildlife where he used to hang out quite a bit, and I think you introduced me and Jim Marshall. I'm like, "Yeah, I know your daughter Jimmy," and he looks at me. I had long hair back then. And he's like, "Son of a bitch," like he was like getting up to
How well you doing?
Hey, dude,
I don't know her that well.
Not like that. We're friends. So
he's cool.
Then he settled down when he saw me bartend there. I'd help out every now and then with because Michael Jewell worked there, and I remember I'd get off work at TGI Fridays downtown and go in there and it's busy, and it's just like he looks at me
overwhelmed.
Like, get behind the bar, and I'm
it's
like,
coming back to me now.
Yeah.
It's coming back.
TGIF. Yeah.
So then I'd go and bartend there, and and then I'd get free drinks for the rest of the night. So who'd you make? What did you make? I don't know. Drinks out. $10, $20, people are like, all right, no idea. They just like, I go, what are drink prices? $3 for everything. $5. Grab 3, throw 2 in the till for them. Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah. But that's kind of how it was. If you're a bartender down in downtown and you go and you visit your friends, especially these little hole in the wall kind of divey places, you were expected, if they were 3 deep and there's one bartender, all right, and jump back there and help them out. Yeah.
I even got to be like part of like some of the crews where like Urban Wildlife, I'd be like Tony Oliveri was one of the bartenders too, or it could have been Jewel. I'd be like, dude, you've got no toilet paper in the fucking bathrooms right now. Everyone's fucking freaking out. He'd like throw me a key. He's like, that fucking closet, just go grab it.
Yep.
Okay.
Get her done.
I'd come back and there'd be a shot on the fucking bar for me. Like, okay, thanks, man. Cool. But that's how it was back then. We just watched it out for each other. It was cool.
Back then we had the best bar times. I just, nobody can appreciate it.
Yeah.
Especially these days.
Except for the Roaring 20s, maybe. 1920 is probably pretty hot.
Any of that. I was playing.
Yeah, you were always playing. Yeah,
I was always. You were the rock entertainment. You
were the reason why we went, right?
Well, I guess some of the bars. Yeah.
Yeah. So that that begs the question, Lance. What do you do for fun? Like, if you're not on stage, you're not able to do that. You're into? I think motorcycles,
kicks,
cars,
tie pads,
karate,
Patrick.
Whatever. Like I don't know what.
I like boats. I like motorcycles. I like hanging out with my family. I've got kids.
How many kids you got?
2.
2?
Yeah.
How old are they?
29 and 22 now.
Oh, dang!
You grandpa?
You look
grandpa?
like a girl dad.
I have a girl dad. Yeah, I'm a girl dad, but I have a boy as well. My boy is the older, 7 years older. So yeah, I mean, I got married late, I think. Not really, I guess 28. But
no, that's perfect.
I got married when I was 30, so
yeah,
that's perfect time.
Then started
38.
having babies about 33, 4, somewhere in there. And
yeah, same here.
Yep. And
grandkids yet?
No grandkids. My son's getting married this October. So
wow,
grandkids soon.
Maybe.
Nice.
We'll see.
Do they have music selected? Are they going with the DJ or a live Gemini reunion?
That would be
that would be awesome.
Hilarious.
I'm sure
would be hilarious.
Knowing how kids are with their parents, are like, Dad, you have no say in the fucking music.
No.
We are doing our thing.
No, you didn't ask me to be the DJ, that's for sure. But I'm supplying the PA. You get the gear, Dad. I got the guy to play the songs.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna save you $10,000 right there.
Well, a lot of kids listen to their parents' music. So do they listen to Gemini?
Yeah, I mean, my son had always liked my music, which is nice. And my daughter wasn't as into it.
Do they play it?
She's more
the instruments.
Yeah, my son actually started. He was take him into the music stores, and he'd look. He's always looking at the drums. He's like, "Oh, Dad, the drums are so." And then and he was really into violins too, really early. And I'm like, okay, note. So we got him into a school program for violin, and he started playing rock band drums, and then we got him a drum kit later. But he became a very accomplished violinist.
Wow.
And was first chair in high school, and
nice.
We ended up sending him off to McNally Smith for his senior year because he was doing the brainiac thing. I got to do all the hard classes, Dad. And then he'd bemoan, studying for 3 hours a night. And I'm like, I think you need a respite from that crap for a while. Why don't you go to a music school and have fun?
You can't just change bands, right?
Right. Right.
Like,
Why don't you go to a music school and learn how to play from your heart instead of from the book, right?
This isn't freelance, man. You can't just walk.
So he went to McNally Smith. He had a great time. He's like, Dad, everybody's stoners there. But I'm doing really well. I'm learning how to play impromptu.
For some reason, I can remember everything, but everybody else forgets everything.
Yeah, right.
But so as part of the deal with Loud and Local, McNally Smith College of Music used to sponsor the local music show, and it actually had gone away because there was no sponsor.
Right,
so actually, technically, they brought it back. My boss called me one day and said, "You want to do Loud and Local on Sundays again?" I'm like, "Sure." After about a year and a half off the air, and I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." But the deal was I had to have an intern come in, and I got some of the brightest people I've ever fucking met in my life come.
Yeah.
I had to show them like. I would
good teachers
let them
down there too.
observe me do the show. I would say, here's why I select the music I select. I'm not doing two like back-to-back metal songs. I'll do a metal song here, like a ballady song here. It's taught them about the mix.
Yep.
And then the engineering aspect of it, they were just like, shut up, old man, get the fuck out of my way. They just knew how to run a board.
They were learning from Chopper Black down there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so two of my students actually went on. One was a K-Fan Minnesota Vikings producer. She did that for, I don't know, 12, 14 years. She's doing great. I think she's with public television now or something, but she's running stuff behind the scenes. And then the other kid, the Golden Gopher Stadium, he runs the PA for that, for football games and concerts or whatever they have going on at the Gopher Stadium. So, it's like, it's a kind of a proud papa moment, but I always had different experience with McNally kids. They were not stoners.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yep. He,
but
I'm trying to remember the name of the fellow down there that I had met long before.
Don at McNally.
Yeah.
Chad Hanks. Do you know Chad Hanks used to teach there too?
No, it wasn't Chad. It was, he had downtown St. Paul, he had some kind of a musical I don't even know how to really formulate what it was that he did. He gave advice on publishing and various other musical things, right, for local musicians.
Consultant type.
Yeah,
Consulting, yeah.
So he taught people how to make money from their music in the various ways that it could be done, because there are about 5 main ways back then to make money. And it was from your live playing, from your merchandise, from your publishing, from, et cetera, et cetera. And he would kind of break that down and give you an idea. And I'd sat down there and had a meeting with him. And then I met him again when my son was taking a tour of the school. And yeah, it's cool. It was pretty cool. Yeah, I can't remember his name though.
It'll come to you at 3 o'clock in the morning.
At 3 o'clock in the morning. It's gonna be like,
you'll get it.
It's Bob. It's Bob.
Right.
So give me one really cool story that when you were playing around, like, well, you heard the Alaska story from last week when they were running around the bar,
trying to get out of the bar.
I should have probably thought of something like that before I came, right? The cool story. From touring.
Yeah, from touring.
I'm gonna stay away from all the danger zones. On that.
You might want to tell a story your wife already knows about.
Dave goes, well, I'm married with kids, so I'm gonna weave around it.
There's some really inappropriate story.
So your bands are always mainly 4. How many pieces? 4 or 5?
Typically 4 or 5. Yeah. So Freelance was 4. Gemini was 5. Let's see. Avian was 4 for a while. Then it was 5. Then Pyramaze was 5. Ballast Power was 5. But we played shows with 4 sometimes when somebody couldn't. The other guitar player couldn't make.
Now, did you play or did you just only sing?
I play. Yeah, and Freelance, they're like, well, you can't just sing, bud. We're a 4-piece. So you're going to have to learn how to play keyboards. We're going to buy you a keyboard. You're going to learn how to play. So I learned how to play keyboards with, a chord computer, literally a little calculator type thing.
Okay.
And it would give you the chords, the modes, the scales, the inversions, minors, majors.
Wow.
it'd give you diminished chords and whatever you needed. So you kind of figure it out from there. You're like, okay, there are patterns. I got this. You see, it wasn't that difficult once you could see it. And then it was about finding it by ear. So I basically learned by ear, but I had a prompt. But I didn't read music. Never really learned. I learned basic guitar tab. I play guitar as well. And that was something that I'd always had a guitar. I just never got very good at it. And, but, I used to play backup when Rob would be singing.
Right.
I'd get up and I'd play guitar.
I remember that.
Guitar. Yeah. And I'd play keys and sing, So in freelance, I was probably playing keyboards 80% of the night, 70% of the night while singing lead. So wow. I learned to do both at the same time pretty early on. Guitar was a little different animal with that. And I'm doing it a lot more than I used to in the 70s Magic Sunshine Band, actually, with more complicated kinds of rhythms and stuff. And I didn't think I was going to be able to pull it off because I hadn't done it for a really long time. And then, but it was really easy.
Well, you've been doing music for how long?
Right. I attribute it to actually taking a tap dancing class with my wife because my daughter was a competitive dancer and we were around the school all the time. And wife's like, she learned like every form of dance, you can imagine, and competed in it. And now she teaches and she's part of a couple of companies and stuff now. But his wife wanted to learn how to tap dance. And I thought, tap dancing actually is pretty cool.
I want to learn to tap dance, actually.
Yeah. And it sort of must have opened up something in one of the other songs.
Yeah.
Some new connections between the rhythm of both feet and stuff. And playing it. So then rubbing my doing this was easy all of a sudden. Right?
Just like the collie sticks, right?
I don't know what it was, but it's like, oh yeah, I got this. I don't even have to think about it anymore because before when I play a guitar, I'd be like, I have to really focus on playing the guitar, and now I'm not thinking about singing. Now I can focus on singing, and I don't have to think about the guitar. So
there you go.
It's pretty good because that's what you want to be.
Yeah, I'm no musician, but like that's very difficult to do. I don't think people appreciate that enough. I appreciate it when I see someone singing and playing guitar at the same time, or singing and playing piano at the same time. It is difficult.
It is not easy at first, right? It's really weird.
There's kind of a balance because when I started doing the sit-in night, we had like an open mic night at O'Donovan's, and I usually was just the guy. All right, you go up next, and then finally it was like you got to come up and play because there's nobody here. Get up and play. So I had to learn how to play guitar and sing at the same time, and I never did. My vocal range, like you were saying, is about
one octave.
Here.
Because you're not pushing yourself. Right. You're singing for yourself.
Right.
You're always just in your comfortable
zone.
So
I had to learn a bunch of tunes, and our first guest that we had on, a guy named Tony Williams, was like, well, let's do this together. And, he kind of helped with getting it off the ground. And once we got it off the ground, we were packed all the time. But we started doing stuff together, singing and playing guitar, and it took probably about 2 months, and then I was like grooving. It's like I wasn't even thinking about playing.
Yeah. Nice.
So I could see that.
The more you do it, the easier it gets.
As a drummer, I could probably do. I would walk 5,000 miles, and I would walk 5,000 more. Be the I could go boom,
like a metronome boom, singing.
Metro, I am singing with the beat. Like you could do that, but where it gets complicated is
singing like Don Henley, right?
I don't know why, but I always found singing and playing guitar easy for me. Even though I can't do either of them very well.
For me, it was tough because I could do backup stuff.
Got to be it.
But I never sang. I just played guitar.
Yeah.
And then,
well, I do the cowboy chords, and you do the complicated stuff.
I look at.
He does prog rock.
I consider myself kind of a hack guitar. It's like a garage band guitar player. Not,
like our last guy said that.
Not intricate, detailed, or anything like that. Like Roger was, very.
Roger was fun to watch, wasn't he?
Boy,
and
was that
fun to listen to because he was just
a
one with the freaking guitar.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
and the guy was a drummer. Did you know that?
No,
He was a drummer, and when he joined Gemini, he'd only been playing guitar for 5 years, dude.
I hate people like that.
5 years.
Wow.
And he's just like,
Yeah.
He's like, I learned arpeggios like yesterday. You're like, going, that's it, I quit.
it was crazy.
One of those guys.
But he'd play it for 8 hours a day,
Yeah,
and he got better.
Yep.
yeah, he was incredible. And I've never. It's like I've never been a guitar player like that, but it's like you listen to like the intro, that's me putting together something to have some music that I don't get hit with a copyright. So I play messy, but I can still play. But I'm like Dave Gorman was talking about. It's like I'm never going to be that guitar player, but I'm solid.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to be that. I'm more of a Guns N' Roses type.
I've given into that exact thing. It's like I got a Spark guitar amp though. Those little cool, they're so cool.
I've got
You can
one
get
right over
any
there.
sound you want out of the thing, and you're just like, I sound like God.
Oh,
This is awesome, right?
Are you gonna play for us tonight? Come on, Lance.
No.
We usually bring out the guitar.
But it sounds so great when you dial in. It's like, I'm going to learn this song and I'm going to find that exact sound and it's going to sound like God. And it does. It's crazy.
I got the Spark 40 and then I got the Spark 2.
Oh, cool.
They're in the corner. You just can't see them. I can get this.
I got the
stuff out.
40.
Why don't you give out your address to all the burglars that are watching?
But
you could give out the
by the way,
address and nobody would find the right apartment.
The problem is it won't be for me. It's going to be for them coming into my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're gonna have a problem. They're gonna have a problem.
Don't come into a police officer's house. Yeah, you don't want to do that. That's not
but you're right. I mean, it's like a tablet. I can find any song. It's the greatest amp modeler I've ever seen.
It's so
fantastic.
Cool. It's so cool.
And I thought the Guitar Pod was so great. Oh, this
and you
is
can
great.
and it'll analyze music and tell you what it is.
Yeah.
It'll give you the chord.
Can you imagine if
in real time? It'll tell you what the heck to play.
Yeah, I start playing.
It's crazy.
I start playing my own like little riff or song, and all of a sudden the bass and drums start coming in, and it's like.
Can you imagine we had the technology back in the day when you guys started out? Can you imagine
Dude,
we had the technology?
We'd be so much better. We'd be so much better.
Isn't it amazing?
It's crazy.
The technological differences between when you guys started out and today.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, we didn't even have tabs back then. You had to listen to the music and try to figure it out.
Figure it out.
And
it's
it's close. It's not perfect. It's close. That was good.
Right.
And if you opened a CD jacket and there was not lyrics for every fucking song, you're like, fuck!
You know what?
You had to
As
write
a
them down.
as a singer, I chose sounds. So I would sing phonetically. Right. I didn't even know what the hell I was singing sometimes. Right. But I'd make it sound just like the singer and it'd just be noises. Right. Or I'd sing a word that sounds similar to it and I'd phrase it the same. Right. And nobody ever knew when I was doing it. And I was like,
there's a lot of those songs out there.
Like
I thought they
Barracuda. I did Barracuda for a long time. And I don't know. And that. Sell me, sell you, the porpoise said, dive down, deep down, sleep on you. I don't know what I'm saying.
As long as you're taking us on that wave of sound, we're fine, man. Fuck it.
There's so many.
It's better than doing what Axl Rose is currently doing or Vince Neil is currently doing.
Oh my God, that's great.
Man, that's
have you seen the video of Vince Neil singing?
Oh God,
it's so bad.
It's so bad.
Oh my
Jimmy
God.
got a fat.
It's like, it's starting to sound like
big old titties, riding
James Brown.
Right.
Shit don't go.
But uncool. James Brown was cool. I saw so many memes that were hilarious about that.
And it didn't help that he's like solid, like 290, 300 pounds.
He's-
I mean,
Oh yeah.
And that he looks like the abominable snowman back in in what was that? Rudolph,
With the red-nosed reindeer, yeah, the animation.
yeah, the old
my
claymation things or whatever they were. They were hilarious. Yeah, when we grew up.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Hey, let's give it to him. He served 30 days for fucking killing somebody, so he's got it made.
Yeah, drunk as hell and
Oh, really?
Oh, that
I
didn't
didn't
go-
hear
that
about
show
that.
didn't go over very well,
Hanoi
did it?
rocks.
paid
Here,
the
let me do
family,
this. I gotta do
paid off
sad horn.
the police, paid off
Where's
the
the sad
family,
horn?
and everybody went.
Nope, wrong horn.
So.
Is that what the story was?
Yeah, the story was
No,
he
yeah,
paid
no.
out a lot of millions. He was
He
Oh, wow.
yeah,
broke.
he took a member of another band out.
Well, I know.
Tide- what was
Hanoi
it?
Rocks.
Hanoi
Hanoi
Rocks,
Rocks.
Hanoi Rocks,
Drummer,
yeah,
yeah.
and he got in a drunken car
Really?
accident because he was literally doing 90 down Hollywood Boulevard. Wrapped his car. The guy died. Yeah, he got 30 days in jail.
Yep.
paid the
It's
family
crazy.
like $10 million.
That was 1987. For
Yeah.
you.
He had money and
Well,
used up
that's
most
the
of
way
it.
the world seems to be going, right?
Anyways,
he who
thanks
has
for
the
tuning in,
bucks
everybody.
gets out
Thanks for
of jail
coming,
free
fans.
card.
I'm
Don't
sorry to
drink and drive.
depress
Good
everybody
night.
about that.
Have a good night.
When's the last coming up? Yeah, you want to do that.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you is like kind of your spiritual side. You have the celestial portal. Is that? And I see a lot of stuff on Facebook. It's really cool. You don't see that too often anymore. That people are kind of reaching out and
trying to help people with a different perspective.
Right.
and
How did
mentality.
you get into that?
So my family that I grew up with was all, well, I guess they were more spiritually open. They were definitely very spiritually open. We had a Buddha, but they were brought up Christian, right? And there was just a whole different mentality of, my dad went to college and he studied philosophy and religion. So he had studied all the religions.
So he's a stoner? So he's a stoner?
He was a stoner? No, he wasn't a stoner.
No.
Back then it was.
But other people were in the family. Right? Oh, I haven't even gotten to the weird part yet. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
let him
grew
take us
up
down
in
that
a.
path before we get there. Okay.
I grew up in kind of this. Well, it started out as more of a yuppie kind of a household, and then it became more of a hippie kind of household.
Oh,
And so they were experimenting during the love generation in the 60s and 70s with various compound substances, we'll say, and through their opening of their minds a little
Psychedelics,
bit to different things, mind-altering drugs, they had gained some different perspectives. And my dad had studied a lot of this stuff, so he was always talking about the various belief systems and that sort of thing. So I grew up in more of an open spiritual conversation,
Right.
almost every day. And they were also health nuts. So everybody, we tried to eat well. We tried to, supplement well. We tried to, avoid all of the pitfalls of the drugs and the alcohol and the typical crap food that is an American food.
Oh yeah.
Right.
processed.
Right. Even then, and in the 70s, not many people were overweight yet. But my dad was a bodybuilder back and a wrestler in high school and college, and so he was, the body's the temple kind of mentality, right? And so he taught me that, and living up in the woods in kind of what I would call a commune of family and friends for
Just
a
in Canada?
while.
Canada?
Yeah, up in British Columbia. My dad bought 160 acres up in the Canadian wilderness, about 70 miles north of Idaho, up in the right in Rocky Mountains.
Oh wow!
And in this nice little valley with a nice little virgin mountain runoff creek with beavers and trout. And
He doesn't still have that, does he?
He sold it a couple of years ago. I was really pissed at him. I was like, that would have been my exit. I would have gone up there and I would have gone.
Everything.
Yeah, if the world goes crazy, you go into the mountains, and we built houses and lived in tents during the summer, and there was a lot of fishing and shooting gophers because they were eating the garden that we made and all these other various things. So the spirituality thing really was an osmosis of learning throughout my entire life. My dad is a philosopher and he wrote books and he was a nature photographer. So he focused on...
But gophers didn't count.
No, gophers did not count. Not when they're eating your food that you work so hard to get. It's like, terminate with extreme prejudice. Here's the 22. So, he taught me how to shoot, taught me how to use a chainsaw, too. But he was he was an interesting dichotomy there. A guy that's a naturalist and worried about the environment who has a racing boat and likes to go fast. Right. He was always working on his engines.
There's always got a demon inside that has to come out.
Yeah, you got to come out and play once in a while because when I was really young, he raced boats. So he was kind of...
See, now that's super cool. I would love to do that.
Yeah. He had a go fast boat when he was, I think it went 119. And he was,
that's fast on the water.
He was 70.
Wow.
Wow. 70s and he's driving these fast boats. Like face plastering, you had to wear a full face mask. Anyway, so he somehow balanced those things.
Yin yang.
And you kind of, yin and yang, totally. So you learn, I learned that. My mom took a different spiritual path where she became a metaphysical healer. So she worked with Reiki and the reconnection and something she calls quantum spiral healing that I don't know what that is, but energy work, basically, balancing chakras and that kind of stuff.
That's super cool because a lot of people don't really, they're so into today's world. You get up, you go to work, you bring home the money, you have the wife and the kids, and you don't think about that spiritual side,
right.
The energy, that flow of back and forth that you give and receive.
Right.
And that's kind of one of the things when in Subak Do having this very classical style, it's a lot. We do energy stuff, even, when we're doing exercises, you're feeling the energy come in and out, you're accepting and you're passing.
Yep.
And
anybody that does martial arts for any length of time,
right,
builds up that chi level and that energy and that.
Yeah, just that.
I think the oxygenation of the blood really helps a lot with just the clarity of mind and body and spirit and connecting all of those things together.
And I think that a lot of people, especially nowadays, have kind of lost track of that. Especially, me, being a police officer and seeing what happens out in the world, we could always use a little bit more of that, to kind of recenter, so that's really cool that you came from that.
The unfortunate thing is that you need nature.
You do.
To get
really
that,
do.
Living in an urban jungle doesn't
you really do, right?
Yeah.
When things are getting just too
much stimulus,
too much stimulus, too much stress in your life, too much negativity from other people or the TV or from whatever. Music helps balance that out, and
martial arts
and martial arts. So those were my three things that helped keep me balanced a lot, and then the spirituality sort of came of those things, I think. And then,
and it's amazing. It's so your page, the Celestial Porter. I mean, you've got like how many thousands of followers? It's amazing.
I think I have like 3,500 or something like that. Yeah, it's not. It started, well, actually, in all actuality, it started out as a group for my music. Right. But my music sort of took a spiritual turn, right? So the lyrics were very spiritual in my solo albums. And it was more of an evolution because with the Balance of Power and even the Pyramaze stuff, a lot of that would have undertones of that. So I just sort of chose to call my music celestial metal and brand it that way because it was unique as a marketing strategy, but also because it's what it is. And I wanted to kind of find my niche, and market it that way. So
you're trying to
then
I
wanted to open it up to more things than just the music, because I'm not putting out that much music, and I wanted to talk to people about, the positive things that could help them in their daily lives, or just basically how to perceive the garbage that's going on and how you can
Interesting.
process
Yeah,
it.
that's really interesting.
You know,
Kind of like a new genre almost,
Right. One of my favorite songs of all time, and it's not because you're here, is Limitless.
Mhm.
When I heard that years ago, it's like, oh, this is awesome. And it's in my
From Reprogram?
right. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
in my
Sweet.
phone where
Yeah,
it's on
it's super positive. I love that.
it's an awesome tune, but I have that, kind of my rock stuff, but that's a song that plays a lot on my phone because I just love that song. Just, how it moves and, the lyrics and the vocals and the music. I mean, the guitar parts, it just works together really well. So I love that stuff. So,
Is that what
yeah.
Gemini? Limitless?
No, that was my solo album that I
Oh.
wrote with a lot of different guys from different parts of the world. That one features Marcus Sigfridsson, a Scandinavian, a Swede, who plays in a band called Darkwater over in Sweden, and also a couple of other Christian bands he was in. But he's a phenomenal guitarist and songwriter, and he writes a little bit more in the Dream Theater kind of vein
Right.
of stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. Let's write some songs.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I mean,
So if I were to look it up, what am I looking up?
You're looking up Lance King on Spotify, and then Limitless, and
Okay.
and my 2 solo albums will come up.
so great song, great album. I mean, you put out some really good stuff.
Thank
And especially with in the bands that you've been with, they are completely different, but they have kind of a similarity. I don't know how to explain it. They have their own sound,
Right.
but there is a similarity to it.
I think I'm probably the common denominator
Yeah,
in them. But,
Yeah, I was
but
gonna say, is it
Right.
you that weaves all that together in some way?
it's me
not
interpreting the
necessarily through
music and
lyrics or music,
refocusing it through the way my vocal interpretation, I think. So I approach every band differently because the music's different.
Right.
And
Like-
I try to vibe with what they're doing and what the song's asking for,
Right.
but yet
But like balance
be myself as well. You know?
Like, yeah, and I mean, you bring it there. Like Balance of Power is very technical. It's very melodic. It's very cool. Pyramaze is like more
Testosterone
edgy,
infused, yeah. Yeah.
And then with Avian
Avian,
or
yeah.
Avian, Avian's kind of even a little bit different, but just there is that one thread that makes it, and it's your vocals. I mean, and how you arrange things. It's just it's great how you're able to do so many different styles and still keep your
It's
yourself
fun.
there.
It's
yeah.
fun. Well, I think
Your
that's
identity.
just because I like lots of styles of music, and there's only a few really that make me want to barf, and those are country western with a steel string guitar,
Yeah.
Hawaiian music with a steel string guitar. I don't know what it is about that makes me want to scream and
Well, it's-
fingernails on a chalkboard, But everything else, avant-garde jazz, not so much.
Has your martial arts done anything for your music career?
It kept me fit. It kept me fit and able to, stay strong and sing the power metal stuff better with the ab work, right?
Yeah.
That for sure with the heavy vibrato stuff that I was putting out into those more power metal-y bands like Pyramaze, doing more Rob Halford kind of
Yeah.
vocals, and then Jeff Tate more,
Yeah.
stratospheric, stuff.
Which is funny because we went and saw Jeffrey Tate
Mhm.
at that, what was the venue?
On campus.
On
the
campus.
the
It's the Varsity Theater.
Varsity Theater. Yeah.
Not the greatest place for a band.
It was kind of cool. Yeah.
but it was kind of cool. But
Great bathroom.
and so Jeffrey Tate's 60 years old and he puts out the show and we're just like, wow. And your name came up. Who else can sing like that? Lance King can sing like that. So it was kind of funny that your name comes up in these circles when you talk about great singers like Rob Halford and Jeffrey Tate and
That's nice to hear. That's nice to hear.
You've always had some.
He's got a big
pipes.
range too.
Yeah.
So you said you did have a very big. Was that you guys?
Well, when I started, I didn't. I had, well, as you can hear, my timbre in my voice is pretty low naturally.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm baritone first tenor originally, right?
Mhm.
But I can now, well, my choir teacher put me in second tenor in high school because he says, you got a range of a pop singer. I'm like,
I don't want to be a pop
No,
singer.
I
I want to be a
don't.
metal singer.
no, I didn't really then. I didn't really think that's where I was going. It just sort of happened that way. But I'm like, okay, so I'll do it. And I could do the baritone parts just as easily as I could do the tenor parts. And the second tenor parts, I was able to do. He was right. And he just said, do it through your nose, you'll be fine. Just relax. I'm like, okay. So that's how I learned to do head voice in choir
Yeah, exactly.
in
Head
high
voice.
school. Right. And then I evolved it to where I could do higher stuff.
Did you take any voice lessons after school?
I never had any voice lessons. There was I took one voice lesson from a bar band guy that my mom knew because she was a bartender for a while.
Mm-hmm.
A long time actually. And after my parents split up, we didn't even get into the weirdness of that story. My parents split up, I was 6 or 7, and my dad left with my mom's best friend
That's another
for a
story.
little while. And then we all lived together, and mom ended up with her husband by default, and we're all living in a house. And
Oh,
believe it
wow.
or not, it never got crazy. There was just a lot of unsaid stuff and emotions that you
Wow.
could feel.
You made your own
So the
commune.
empathicness of that is
The
sort of
energy
rubbed
was
off on me.
the energy was there.
I started to learn how to feel energy, and I became a bit of an empath. And so long story short, she was a bartender. Where was I going with that?
We were talking about singing
Singing,
in your
yeah.
voice. Yep, the singing lesson.
Okay, the singing lessons, and she was also working at a studio for a while, and I didn't know this until she gave me this cassette of a band called Bridgekeeper. It was a local Oregon band, and Quarter Flash had recorded at the studio that she was at as well, out in Portland. And anyway, Bridgekeeper's singer, horn player, gave me a mic technique class, basically. So I didn't get a voice lesson, but I learned how to use the microphone.
Right.
And so I was one of the only people that sound men always go, you have really good mic technique. What's going on there? And I'd be, because I'd want to sing soft most of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I could, I'd be right on it, eating it.
Mm-hmm.
And then for all the high parts, so I wouldn't blast myself out, and the rest of the band, I would be off like this.
Right.
And the natural aspect of a 58 at that time, it would get thinner.
Yeah.
So it would falsetto would sound more powerful with the mic farther away, right? And I just sing loud. I would sing really hard on the high parts, right? So I got used to just blasting on these high parts. Just to get them out, right?
Right.
Just to
And
get them
that-
out.
And that
Right,
was,
yeah,
and that was
off it like here, and
But I mean, that was the mic, like the Shure 58. That was that's
Yeah.
that was
that's the
mic of the
tried
day,
and
right.
true, and people still use that mic today.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
and they suck, but
but
they're,
when you're playing in a bar and you drop and shit,
Right.
and you're
But
throwing
they were-
into a bin,
yeah,
and
I
You're
mean,
spitting beer all
they-
over it.
Yeah, they
they
you-
boosted the high mids in
Yep.
your voice, and for those high parts,
Mhm.
it made them sound pretty
Pretty
tough.
good, huh?
Pretty tough, yeah.
Did you work on your vocals like you worked? I mean, I'm
I didn't have to because we
You're
were
natural.
playing all the time,
okay.
so I had to.
You were
deliver.
working on it while you were
Right.
practicing.
I had to deliver it, so there was a motivation.
Sure.
So I'd be practicing every day. I'd be driving to the gigs, learning new songs, or
Yeah.
working on the parts that I wasn't.
No, like vibrato come naturally to you?
No,
Did you have to work on that?
I had kind of a natural vibrato, even in high school, but Jeff Tate type of vibrato, I had to practice, right?
Okay.
And then I sort of defined it a little bit more than he did because I would work on the rhythm of it. So I would do it with different times,
Right.
songs. So I would,
yeah.
I would constantly be working on finding the rhythm of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, you just quarter it, slow it halftime it, like singing like,
Now your voice, how's that holding up?
Those kinds of things.
Yeah.
With the time of any song, right?
Sure.
And you just sort of kind of get that thing for your breath,
diaphragm going.
Yeah,
up and
for
down,
your diaphragm. And obviously, there are two different kinds of vibrato. I kind of liken it to portamento and what's the other one on the keyboard? There's like one that you go like this on the stick, or one that changes the frequency and one that actually changes the pitch. Right. This one's more the pitch. No, this one's more the frequency. It's kind of a volume. Right? It's more like you're kind of a power thing, and then this is your throat is the pitch. Right.
Okay.
A lot of people sing with one or the other, and some people sing with both.
Okay.
I sing with both.
Okay. So you, how's your voice been holding up over the years? Good.
Well, okay. So I was in like 3 bands until like there's a point where I was in Decibel, Avian, and doing some other thing.
Anal Blast. You were an Anal Blast for a minute, weren't you?
No, that was Decker.
Yeah, leave it to Patrick to pull out the anal blast.
He likes that word.
It sounds like a soda pop.
It sounds like a bad.
Decker was an interesting individual. We'll just leave it at that.
Let's talk about Decker, shall we?
So
just think about a mess on a stage.
Think
in
about
1991 in St. Paul, and you'll get the whole band name, and we don't have to. Let's not go any further. Otherwise, Brett's gonna have to make edits, and he's gonna be mad at me.
Let's just say Decker pushed
It was
the
a show.
envelope.
It was a show.
Decker pushed the envelope
Yeah.
to new extremes in extreme
Very
metal.
Very well put. He literally pushed the envelope out of his asshole.
Let's see what it sounds like.
Oh boy.
No, they went to the top of the chart.
Fart metal. Let's just call it what it is.
I'm missing some
I
stuff.
can envision what's going on, and it's not good.
Well, he couldn't sing very well, but he sure could fart well.
Oh, it's going to be a great show because I had 4 burritos and a big pot of chili.
I'm drinking beer and hitting Taco Bell before the show.
Yeah, but the ball gig afterward was definitely uncalled for.
So you're playing now? You're playing now for who?
Anywho,
I'm playing in 70s Magic Sunshine Band.
And I just
And where's that
Okay.
at?
That's quite a mouthful to remember.
is this like Terry Jacks? We had joy,
They're-
we had fun.
I
we
just
had
saw-
seasons
I
in
just
the
saw them-
sun.
Okay, we
Like,
don't.
what's that bar?
We
do
we
that?
go
Is it
kind of
hippie?
close to that cheesy, but not that cheesy. So
What's the bar in White Bear Lake?
The most fun song that is really cheesy is "Joy to the World." Right, everybody loves the song.
Yep.
Right?
Joy.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
and,
that one.
And the Partridge Family theme song. Not the theme song. I Think I Love You.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Because-
think I love you.
Yeah.
because everybody
I
loves
think
it.
I love
Yeah.
you.
So those
Yeah.
are like probably on the cheese factor highest, but a lot of really cool stuff from Americana. We do some more country stuff like okay, now I'm drawing a blank on it. What was his name?
If you can't think about it,
My Maria
gonna
is the
deflect.
name of the song, all right?
My Maria.
My Maria. And it's a little bit more jazzy stuff for country.
The last live music I saw was
And
you guys at what's that bar on the north side of White Bear Lake? Was it
PD Pappy's?
No.
Or
North side.
oh, that's
Pickle
St.
Park.
Croix. Sorry.
What?
Which lake?
White Bear Lake.
For
White
me?
Bear Lake.
Yeah, White Bear Lake in that little town north of White Bear Lake. There's that, not Hugh. No, what is it?
You're not talking about Decoys.
Mm-mm.
That's the only kind of big bar that's over there. Then the
No, it's a small little bar.
White Bear Lake.
White Bear Lake. Yeah, in
Manitoba.
Was that before I was in the band? How long ago was it?
No, this is like
Because I joined
a few
5
months
years
ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, White Bear Lake. Should the teams be called the Bears or the Lakers?
Oh, I
Discuss.
know. Are you thinking about?
What is that bar, man? That
Oh,
was
I used to ride my motorcycle up there. I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember.
I know. Where
Oh,
you're
Yeah, there was a
talking
bar
about.
there.
It's
You
the
know.
dugout.
dugout.
The dugout.
The dugout.
Okay.
Yeah,
Dugout,
my friends
that's
had a
right.
birthday. We had a birthday party there and we were right in the we had a full table in the
Great.
front. So that's where
Okay.
I was there last. And I saw you.
Yeah. So I'm doing everything. We picked up some Motown
And I'm like-
things and some disco.
I told my friend
things, and
John,
we play some rock and
These
roll.
guys were
and-
fucking great. I want to follow them. I got a
So where
bumper sticker and everything.
do you
Nice.
play at one bar or do you play around?
We play around.
Oh, you play
So
around. Yeah, yeah.
The
They're
bars pretty much we play in the Twin Cities during the cold months, right? And then in the summer we're doing all outdoor shows.
Yeah.
So we played this last weekend. We played Blaine Fest. Closest thing to my house ever. 2 miles away.
2 miles away.
Like,
That's
I'm like,
walkout.
that was
Never
awesome, right?
before.
Right
cool.
before
You go-
Johnny
you go
Home,
home
got to
between
play
breaks.
right before Johnny Home, and then I
Go home
was
between
out
break,
by
you're done.
I was out by 7.
You were
played
out
4
by
to 7. 4 to 7. We played. Like, I don't know what it was. No, it wasn't even that. It was like
You know you're old when you play in a band and you're
4:30
home
to
by 7 o'clock.
4:30 to 7:30. Right. We did 1 2-hour set. We were done. Love that.
Nice.
I'm back in bed, or at least at home by
Is it just happy?
8:39. You know, it's great.
It's still
happy.
light out.
Yeah, it's still light out. And then we
It's happy,
played up
feel
at
good, hippy
that.
dippy.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, happy, feel good, hippy dippy. You go home and you're
Totally,
fine, right?
yeah.
Like,
It's all about the groovy energy, baby.
I'm following you guys around. You guys are great. I love
So
that.
what's
man.
so
what's the
fun, yeah.
website on that so people can see?
70smsb.com.
70smsb.com.
Yeah, or just look up Magic Sunshine Band
Magic Sunshine
or
Band, yeah.
70s
Magic Sunshine
70s band.
They're so
70s
good. Yeah,
Sunshine Band.
You know, it's
or
funny
They will be
because
your new higher power.
my friend John and I went and he was here last week as a visitor, and we're like, every freaking song
Mhm.
we knew,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I'm thinking, I'm gonna invite. I have some old clients. I was like, I gotta bring these guys because they're like old music people, and I'm like,
It's so much
every-
fun, and it's like
every
the stuff that
song was great.
everybody knows the stuff, but
Every
it's not
song.
overplayed anymore.
No.
There, you don't hear it.
You don't
so
hear it.
it's
It's
like, it's
I know
aha!
the song. Yeah.
I
That's
know
remember
that
this.
one, right?
Now, do
I know
you-
every word to it.
Yes.
The
I don't
question is, do you do the Pina Colada song?
know. We do.
Yes.
Yes, they did.
Oh my
Into
God.
Hotel
That's-
California.
Oh,
Like,
we see.
yes.
Now I got to come out.
Eagles,
with
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
yes.
the Eagles,
Yes.
man.
yeah.
I'm kind
Every
of a
single
dudist,
song,
man.
and it was one of those
I'm a
times.
dudist. You can't fucking have the Eagles, man.
The Eagles rule.
Let me out of the fucking car, man. Get the fuck
It
out
was-
of here with the Eagles.
It was one of those bands that you go, or when they're playing the songs, you haven't heard in such a long time,
Yeah.
but you know it's like, this is a great song. This is a great song too. Oh no, this is a great song. So every song,
Yeah, every
we're all
song
just-
is like that, right?
Yep.
And the dance floor just packs
Packs
out right
up.
away.
Yep.
And people are
That
having
was so
a
much
great
fun.
time
That was
and
so much
just
fun.
Loving,
Bunch of
loving
cougars.
it. They're having a bunch of fun.
Yep.
So that is so much fun as a performer. You know, I remember when they asked me down, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a little weird. I've been a hard rock metal guy forever, right? I've been
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah,
The
we do
last
your-
time I played in a band that really did anything that was out of that realm was in the first one I joined Gemini. We were playing
Yeah.
a lot of new wave stuff in the beginning too. You know,
Wow.
yeah, we'd be doing U2 and different
Yeah.
things of that nature, but that still had an edge to it, you know.
Right.
And Freelance evolved into a much harder rock band, and then Gemini evolved into a much harder band of that, and then it just kept getting
But, dude,
heavier through the years, right?
You know what?
Right.
You know what, though? No, I appreciate everything about your career, but you'll never be anal blast. I'm just saying.
No, that's true.
I don't
I'm,
think
I'm,
I-
I'm happy
never be
for it.
that.
I'm happy
You'll
for
never
it.
be anal blast.
I'm sure that
I could work
nobody
on. I
wants
could
to
work
be-
on a poor facsimile of it.
After the show, be like, stop with the anal blast
Yeah,
jokes
there
because
you
it's
go.
2 weeks in a row now. It's getting old. And I'm like, no, we're just getting started. It's going to be like the Jimmy
I would
Kimmel
never
bit with
want to
like,
take
hey, Matt
away
Damon.
Decker's shtick.
Yeah, no. We're going to get Decker on the show.
Get Decker on the
Decker
show.
passed away a while ago.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I totally forgot that as I said that. I was like,
Yeah, whoops. Oopsies.
and
Yeah.
I will. I did want to ask you this though. Seriously though, did you have a good relationship with Earl Root, who also passed away,
I did.
but was also legendary?
Yeah.
Like a local music guy.
Yeah, and he had a music store.
He played a lot of his shit, right?
record store. He sold all
Yeah.
kind Root Records, or what was it?
Right,
Root
yeah,
Cellar.
Root
Root
Records,
Cellar.
yeah, yeah.
Cellar, yeah.
Records, yeah.
Well, I know when he passed away, I didn't know him very well. I met him twice, but I was just genuinely sad when he passed away too.
Yeah,
And
Earl was really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
I went down to his celebration of life, or I guess it was a fundraiser for, his services and things at the end.
Yeah.
That his wife was putting on, and I brought down a bunch of, I think, CDs at the time from Nightmare to just donate to the cause that people would, pick up and give money for.
No, I don't want to be a bummer at the end of an episode, but maybe we should just dedicate this one to Earl Root. How about that?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
there you go.
Pretty cool,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Why not?
Yeah.
And
We're supportive of everything that guy. That guy did a lot more than I did on Lone Local. I gotta
He
say,
did a lot of good.
he did a lot of shit. Like I was
I don't
just a
even
dumbass
I don't
DJ that
even
played
know
songs.
how much
That
Earl's
guy.
done, 'cause,
That
yeah,
guy.
he did a lot.
He did a lot for bands,
Yep.
and I'm genuinely appreciative of
Music
that.
was
So,
his life.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
And on that note, so folks, make sure that you're checking out Lance's new band. I'm gonna have to now. We're
Yes.
talking
Oh
about-
God, you have to. Yeah.
Gotta.
70 Magic Sunshine. Bands.
If you'd like, I can put on maybe one of your songs at the end of the podcast here
that'd be
for
fun.
someone to,
or even the intro, maybe a little bit of
people,
his guitar or music, because you don't have to
throw
ask for permission.
so you can hear some of Lance's stuff. You are absolutely iconic rock star from this area. So
Yeah.
it's been a treat to have you on, and it was
Well, you have a Wikipedia
so
page.
happy to get you. So to come in and hang with
Yes,
us. So it's
it
much
has been.
appreciated.
My pleasure.
It was a
It's
great-
been- it's been a lot of
meeting
fun hanging with you guys.
And we'll have to
and
connect.
reacquainting with.
Yeah. It's been
At
years.
first, it's been so long. It's been like what 30 some
Probably
years?
30 years. Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it was like
doing
the
this.
press bar.
Right. Yeah.
Remember seeing it at the press a lot. And,
Yeah.
and
Because I lived up in St. Cloud, and then when your brother came to town, and you're like, he's sitting by himself, and he's like, hey, it's my brother, and then me and Brian were like that. And
Yeah.
So.
And we're going to definitely connect on the martial arts
Brian's a
side.
good guy.
Oh, he's
Brian's
awesome.
a good guy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we will definitely connect on the martial arts side for sure.
Yes,
absolutely.
yes,
yeah.
very cool, and that you're teaching like literally 2 blocks from my house. From my house. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What nights are you teaching?
I teach Tuesday the collie class. So
Tuesday. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
But-
coming in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm coming in.
All right. So
I'll watch and or join in if you want me to.
Yeah, absolutely.
there you go.
All right. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in this week with Lance and Lance and us. Again, check out his shows. We'll put on a song so you can hear some of the stuff that he's done. And
Put that website on too, and
well, we'll see you next week. All right.
Support
Take care,
local
folks.
bands, different
Peace out.
bartenders.
peace out.